The Mets and Dodgers started playing baseball at 4:10 this afternoon. Doubleheader, second inning. David Wright racing home on a wild pitch. Fourth inning, Jason Bay hits his first home run as a Met. Luis Castillo gets the tack-on runs for the Mets in the seventh. And the bullpen did the rest behind Johan Santana. A combined 5 hitters, 17 straight scoreless innings now for the Met pitching staff as they have their 4th shutout of the year. And the Mets have their 5th win in a row, and they'll go for the sweep today. Here's the Dodgers' second game lineup brought to you by Ford. And some changes for Joe Torre. He puts Blake DeWitt in at second, moves Jamie Carroll over to short. Remember, Rafael Furcal was going to leave for a pinch hitter late in that first game. We'll have to find out whether there's anything wrong with him as he sits in game 2. James Loney and Reed Johnson up at the top of the batting order. A little different look for L.A. as all of a sudden the Dodgers struggling to score runs. Just 5 runs in their last 4 games, and now taking on Oliver Perez.
Well, Oliver in the nightcap wearing that beautiful cream pinstripe uniform that the Mets have used this season. See his starts, fine ERA, has not gotten himself a win yet. Walks are up probably for Oliver Perez so far this year.
An Alexis Metzi defense. We're going to highlight Mr. Blanco, and we all know about him throwing runners out. And so far this year, he's thrown out all the 4 guys that have tried to steal on him. He is very impressive behind there, and plus Mike Pelfrey loves him behind the plate.
So here we go in game number 2. Oliver Perez gets it started. First pitch to Reed Johnson is taken low for ball 1. Johnson 1 for 4 in the opener today. So Johnson starting both ends of the doubleheader in left field against the 2 left-handers. In the absence of Manny Ramirez, and he pulls one off the tarp foul, 1-1. Oliver Perez, last start against the Cubs, pitched adequately, left down in the game, and then the Cubs would blow out the Mets bullpen and wind up winning that game 9-3 after Ollie went the first 5, giving up just 2 earned runs and 8 hits. Looking for his first victory of the season. Was to have pitched last night before the rainout. Grounded slowly. Tough play for Reyes as he has to charge. Throwing on the run and gets Johnson for the first out of the game. And Ronnie, if you're a starting pitcher and you're geared up to pitch on a given night and you get rained out and now you're not only pushed back, but you're pushed back to the second game the next day, how do you keep that adrenaline where it's supposed to be?
You know, it's funny. I think that yesterday, Gary, if it's a game that you come to the ballpark and you're ready to pitch and the downpour comes and cancels the game, it's a little different than the day was yesterday. It rained all day long. The guys had the message. We had the message, so they certainly had to, that the game was probably going to be called. So he probably didn't put 100% game face on, which makes it easier today.
Here's James Loney, moved up to number 2 in the order after going 0 for 4 in the opener, and he takes a knee-high strike. Loney hit number 6 in the order in game 1. Dodgers threatened a couple of times early against Johan Santana, but couldn't cash in. Hit up the middle on a base hit for Loney. So the Dodgers have a 1-out base runner. First hit off Oliver Perez.
Nice hitting by Loney there. Fastball in. Quick hands.
Isn't it funny? His last at-bat in the first game, he hit the same exact ball right at Castillo for an out, and now hits the same one, but 5 feet over, and hits a base hit.
Here's Andre Ethier, who went 1 for 4 in the opener and hit the ball solidly several times, including with a runner at third base in the 3rd inning. Hit a seed right at the first baseman, Ike Davis. That was the closest the Dodgers came to scoring in the first game. And bounced into Blanco, who plays the hop like a shortstop. 1-0.
How did he make that play?
Smothered it.
Like, he blocking it, but he made it clean.
Oh my goodness. It's a Hank Greenberg call. The Warriors, 20-footer goes 14. Hank Greenwald, excuse me.
Blanco moves away, and it's fouled back by Ethier. 1-1. Andre Ethier, Matt Kemp, James Loney, 3 very talented young stars in the middle of the Dodger batting order. but right now missing the veteran presence of Manny Ramirez. And the Dodger offense has been a little bit on brownout since Manny went out with a calf injury. He's on the disabled list. 1-2 to Ethier. See Ollie blowing on his hand. A night like this, the umpires will give full rein to the pitchers to blow on that hand as much as they want.
Always thrown 4 breaking pitches, all split fingers. So thrown 1 slider yet. Changing his way of doing business is Mr. Perez this year.
1-2 in tight as he spins Ethier around. 2-2.
Cold night. That's a nice little message pitch. I don't think Ollie meant it. Look at the catcher. Blanco was set up outside.
So you're saying it's a misdirected message?
Yes.
You'll take it, though, as a pitcher.
As a hitter, you don't know where that catcher's setting up.
As a pitcher, you say, you know what, that was supposed to be down and away, but I'll take it. Didn't hit him, and he might think I was throwing at him.
2-2 now to Ethier. Blanco moves away, and the fastball up and away. 3-2. 50 degrees at game time. 21-mile-an-hour winds out of the northwest, gusting now to 26. It is going to be a very chilly evening for baseball. It was a chilly afternoon for baseball. Wind is definitely working in from left field. 3-2, runner goes, pitches ball 4, and the Dodgers have 2 men on.
Why would you want to throw a third pitch splitter? You can see Jerry not very happy with that call. When that's a new pitch for Ollie. It's a cold night, Ronnie. That's a field pitch, correct?
I honestly, on a night like this, Keith, I would try to eliminate the split finger as much as possible. Try to keep the fastball down. You know, get a couple first pitch curves. But that split finger is a pitch that you have to have a great feel for, and it's hard on a windy night.
So an opportunity for Matt Kemp with 2 men on. Kemp, who came into the day tied for the league lead in home runs and RBIs, took an 0 for 4 in the opening game. And Ollie bounces another one.
Well, he's not getting that splitter over, and you better go to plan B here. Numero uno and numero dos.
Well, when numero uno is only 87 to 89, I don't think he has quite the faith in it that he once did. One and 0 now to Kemp, with right guarding the line at third, and it's at his feet with a fastball. 2-0. So it's not coming easily for Perez early as he battles the cold weather. Ronnie Belliard waiting on deck.
This is one way you want to keep the ball down and away. Maybe a 2-seamer. Maybe Kemp will try to get big and roll it over.
Chops one over the mound. Reyes in front of the bag, has to get a first, and gets Kemp for the second out.
Wow, ball 3. Is that the 2-1 count?
So it's a
2-0.
2-0 count.
Boy, oh boy, ball 3 right there.
Threw a fastball down. Kemp went after it, got big. And this is really overlooked is the fine play by Reyes to get to that baseball.
Well, helped him out. Pitcher on the ropes.
So a chance for Ollie to get through the inning, but first he has to deal with Ronnie Belliard. Belliard, who made the last out in the first game, striking out against Pedro Feliciano, getting the second game start at third base. And he takes at the knees for a strike. Loney at third and Ethier at second with 2 down. That pitchers have thrown 17 consecutive scoreless innings. Ollie trying to keep that going. 1-1 to Belliard.
You know, Keith, the defense that the Mets have been playing, you talked about in the first game, Castillo playing way up the middle. Belliard, one of those guys that I find as a hitter, is not afraid to shoot that ball to the right side. And that's a little far up the middle, I think, for Belliard. Not a strictly pull hitter.
Cracked in the air toward the gap in left center. Pagan raging over, and he makes the running grab. And the inning is over. Oliver Perez gets out of first inning trouble with some help from Angel Pagan. Mets. Brought to you by Geico. Same first 6 as in game 1, including Jason Bay, who had his first home run of the year. Frank Core gets the second game start, as does Blanco, as the Mets go for the sweep against the knuckleballer Charlie Hager, who misses low and away to Pagan for ball 1.
Well, the Michigan native, Charlie Hager, was with the Chicago White Sox organization for a long period of time. You see that ERA is high. He had one real tough start where I believe he gave up 4 home runs in that game.
Just to a fastball and missed high with it. He will throw knuckleball about 60% of the time. And another fastball. There's his first strike. Probably more Tom Candiotti than Phil Niekro.
More Joe Niekro, maybe.
Yeah.
Joe Niekro had good sinking fastball. People tell you, good slider.
Good slider.
I mean, guys, people now, when they think knuckleball, they think Tim Wakefield, because he's the most prominent guy around. A guy who will throw the knuckleball a good 85% of the time.
And there's different kind of knuckleballs. Wakefield's a real butterfly. He kind of just floats it up there. Hager's is a little harder than that.
And the fastball outside for ball 4, and so Hager walks the first man to face it. Had walked 12 batters in 15 in the third innings coming into the night.
And the Coors Light Dodger defense, and we're going to highlight the Gold Glover in center field, Mr. Kemp. Congratulations. Welcome to the club, young man. It's very, very lofty. Nice player.
Here's Luis Castillo, another good game in game 1 as Pagan probably should have slid going back.
Pretty good move there from Hager. You show me a guy who's a sinker ball pitcher, or a guy who gives up a lot of hits, or a knuckleball pitcher especially. I'll show you a guy with a good move because you have to have one.
Better, otherwise they'll steal you blind. Castillo pushes the bunt. Hager off the mound to field it. And so the sacrifice successful for Castillo, 1-3, moving Pagan to second.
Well, very interesting right there.
That's Louis.
Well, interesting that you have your infielders at double play depth, so they were kind of bunching towards second. Louis was trying to punch that towards the second base hole.
So now Reyes looking to get that first run of the game in. Jose went 1 for 4 in the opening game. Knuckleball in for a call strike. Blake DeWitt, the second baseman, really jockeying with Pagan to keep him from getting a jump. Pagan would love to steal third in this spot, but that right side hole really open for Reyes. And he hits it up the middle. Base hit. Pagan around third. He'll score the first run of the game. Jose Reyes drives in his 5th run of the year, and it's 1-0 New York.
Trying to shake the cobweb out of my eyes because this is a run in the first inning, right?
And you notice that that knuckleball just stayed flat on the same plane. It broke away from Jose, but it stayed on the same horizontal level. Nice hitting by Jose.
Now, to be fair, that's twice in the last 3 games now the Mets have scored in the first inning. They've gotten a little more depth at scoring early in games. They got one in the second inning in the first game today, as Bay takes a knuckleball for a strike.
My contract doesn't allow me to do Sunday night games, Gary.
Bay starting to heat up. 6 for 12 over the last 4 games, including that home run earlier today. Reyes running. Bay hits one to left center field. That's slicing away from Kemp. It's in for an extra base hit. Reyes will score easily. Bay around second. He's digging for third. The relay throw from DeWitt. Not in time. Jason Bay with his 3rd triple of the year drives home Reyes, and it's 2-0 New York.
Hustle, hustle, hustle. Another knuckleball doing nothing. And Kemp, look at this. Kind of loafing after it. He loafed from the beginning, and that's the reason why Bay got the triple. Jose's going to score easy once it's in the gap.
Well, the best part of that might be Reyes running early in the count with Bay up at the plate.
Now the infield in for David Wright. And And a tough job for A.J. Ellis to keep that knuckleball from going to the backstop.
No. Nice hitting. Bay is back on track.
Chief, with his third triple, by the end of the season, he's going to weigh about 155 pounds.
That is as many triples as Jason Bay had all last season with the Red Sox. But with Kemp not realizing that in this ballpark, that ball to left center field can be a triple.
There's just no excuse. You just watch Kemp at the top of your screen. Look at, he's just not really busting. You got to get after that ball.
Most ballparks, that ball to left center is a double, but not here.
Well, this is a knuckleball pitcher with Wright, and maybe he can catch up with one.
2-1 to David, who went 1 for 3 in the opener, picked up his 998th career hit, but also struck out his last at bat. That's 13 straight games with a strikeout for Wright. Fouls back the knuckleball, and it's 2-2.
Well, every hitter's added around the league when they face a knuckleballer is if it's high, let it fly, and if it's low, let it go.
Ike Davis waiting on deck. With the infield in, Wright takes one in the dirt. And Ellis with that big glove stops it. Well, if you're Rick Honeycutt, what do you tell your knuckleball pitcher?
Go get him.
Just don't drop an Elston Kowski on him.
Float him good. 3-2 to Wright. And David fouls back the knuckleball.
He's just sitting his knuckleball up on a tee. Upstairs.
They talked about it in the opening. Every knuckleballer wants that wind in his face. If it's not in his face, it starts to have a little bit of rotation. Any kind of rotation makes it straighten out.
That makes it an ill win for this knuckleball today. And he walks David Wright. Ellis keeps it close enough so Bay can't come home. Second walk of the inning for Hager, who has just struggled miserably here in the first inning.
And within the first 3 pitches, I'd be very surprised if you don't see David taking off the second base. There's the grip, those 2 kind of nails and fingers into the ball. You ask little kids at home to throw a knuckleball, they put all their knuckles on the ball and it doesn't go anywhere. The real good ones hold it with 2 fingers off the grip and just try to push it. Let it float up there.
Ike Davis 1 for 3 in the opener, including an opposite field double. And he takes the fastball up and away for ball 1.
Well, the last thing Joe Torre wants to do right now is go to his bullpen early. He went to 3 guys in the first game. 4 guys, excuse me.
And Davis hits one in the air to right center. That'll get the run home. Kemp back in the gap. And he runs it down. Tagging and scoring is Bay. Tagging at first is Wright, and he walks into second as Kemp caught that ball back on his heels. Sacrifice fly for Ike Davis makes it 3-0 New York.
Boy, oh boy, what is Kemp up to out there?
Well, the folks who watch the Dodgers every day will tell you he has not played like a Gold Glover this year, and we've seen evidence of that already twice in this first inning.
Now, I'll grant him that ball was hit deep and didn't have a shot to maybe get under it. Did not have a shot to get under with momentum going forward. Nice job by David, but just lackadaisical. Not lack of effort.
So a runner in scoring position for Jeff Francoeur with 3 runs already home, and he pops the first pitch up. Jamie Carroll, the shortstop, chasing it across the infield, and he finally makes the catch. That ends the inning, but a productive one for the Mets as they put up a 3 spot against the knuckleballer Charlie Hager. Reyes, Bay, and Davis all with RBIs, and they give Oliver Perez a 3-0 lead after 1. HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. The Mets with their biggest first inning of the year, 3 runs. Remember, they had 2 in the first inning on opening day when David Wright hit a 2-run homer. But they pick up a 3 spot against Charlie Hager and present Oliver Perez with a lead as Blake DeWitt leads off the second inning and takes inside ball 1.
You know, guys, on a nice cold night like this would be a great time. Maybe my friends at Elias tomorrow will give me the shutdown inning ERA for the Mets pitchers, Mets starters, after a crooked number your team puts on the board.
Hint, hint, hint.
Well, the starters have been brilliant over the last 2 weeks. The last 12 games, Mets starters with a 5-1 record, a 1.17 ERA, 3 runs or less allowed by the starters in every game.
Shades of 69.
Or 86.
I was in the middle of that. I don't know what was going on.
You did good.
Okay, thanks.
Blake DeWitt, who came up a couple of years ago as a third baseman, has played most of the second base for the Dodgers this year. Struggled defensively. Jamie Carroll on deck. And the breaking ball sits high, 2-2.
Interesting that Joe Torre would. Well, there's 2 left-handers started in this game for the Mets, both games for the Mets, so no option. He's got 3 lefties in this lineup.
Lonnie and Ethier, who play every day, and DeWitt. Hesitation by Perez and a 1-hopper for Castillo to handle. DeWitt retired 1 away. Still haven't found out whether anything happened to Rafael Furcal, which would make him unavailable in this game, which might be why DeWitt's in the lineup and Carroll's playing shortstop. So here is Carroll, who went 1 for 2 in the opener, was on base 3 times.
Unlike a day game after a night game, Gary, in a doubleheader, when you lose the first game, all hands on deck in that second game a lot of the time.
And now you have the complicating notion of a day game tomorrow. So it's 3 games in 24 hours, which is very unusual in the game today.
Big help, though, from the Mets. Santana 6, Nieve 2. You used 3 pitchers.
Well, he stayed away from K-Rod. That was the most important thing. Toward left center field, cutting over his bay, reaching, sliding, and making the somersaulting catch. Oh, wow. Well, his defense was good, has been good. This was spectacular.
And nice fall there to prevent injury. And this is a long way from the run. You can't see him. There he comes right in your screen. It's a long way to go. And we told you, very surprised at his speed. He has played a much better outfield than I expected. He is not a liability in the outfield.
Does he have a little gymnastics in his past?
Maybe.
That was quite a nice somersault.
You know, it's interesting. They usually mention it when they talk about football players, that guys who can run fast but they don't have football speed, meaning can they close in on someone and make a tackle. Same with baseball speed. There's some guys who can run fast who can't run the bases, and then there's other guys that just have baseball quickness, baseball speed. You mentioned Brooks Robinson the other day.
A.J. Ellis out of Austin Peay University, making his 4th start for the Dodgers.
Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah.
I never knew how it was pronounced that way, but it's
Austin Peay in Kentucky. It's this
P-E-A-Y.
P-E-A-Y.
Right. I never knew how that was pronounced.
It's where Fly Williams went to school.
There you go.
I knew that.
They used to have that chant at Austin Peay for Fly Williams. I don't know if we can say it on the air.
I don't think you can.
It started out with "Fly is open."
Expound.
Well, then they'd root for their school. 3-2. The Governors. I guess Austin Peay was a governor of Kentucky.
That's right.
3-2 to A.J. Ellis. And he pops one up. The wind will blow it back toward the stands. Let's see if it'll stay in play for Davis. And he can't make the basket catch. Well, I gave it everything he had, but could not close the deal.
just kind of looked late at the guardrail there and then had a tough time picking the ball back up. And it's a very difficult night. This is a candlestick type night. This is when you want to use two hands too.
Well, they will charge an error to Ike, prolonging the turn it back. A tough error.
Should have been caught.
3-2 to Ellis. Lifts this one to right, and charging hard is Frank Core. And he gets there, and the inning is over. 1-2-3 for Oliver Perez with some help from Jason Bay. Showing off his gymnastic skills. That's a 9.9 right there. Writers and special celebrity guests about the latest happenings in New York sports on Daily News Live, presented by Citi. Weekdays at 5 only on SNY. Henry Blanco leads off in the home second inning after the Mets put up a 3 spot against Charlie Hager in the first. Blanco making his 6th start, caught back-to-back games Saturday and Sunday. And Hager falls behind him 2-0. A clear but brisk night. 3-0 now to Blanco. Rob Barajas caught the opener, went 1 for 4. Oliver Perez on deck, and then Angel Pagan in the second. And there's a strike with the fastball, 3-1. Henry Blanco's last start Sunday night teamed again with Mike Pelfrey. That's been quite a pairing. Pops up on the knuckleball, and Jamie Carroll, the shortstop, under it. 1 away. Well, Russell Martin staying ready, I guess.
We used to have a pitcher on our team, Tom Gorman. Keith knows him. We used to call him Gorfax because he always talked about how good his stuff was. We'd tell him when he watched the Saturday game of the week, he needed to wear his protective cup. That's how bad his stuff was.
Ollie 1 for 5 at the plate. Well, you know what Ralph Kiner used to say about facing a knuckleballer? The best lineup you could put out there is 9 pitchers. See how Ollie fares against Hager. Fastball high, 2-0.
You know what's interesting is that Reyes with that base hit for the RBI. There have been times when left-handed hitters will turn around from the right side to face the knuckleball pitcher. But Hager throws enough fastballs to keep you somewhat on your toes.
At 81 miles an hour, too. That'll really keep you on your toes.
It's as hard as Jamie Moyer threw.
That's true.
2-1 to Ollie. And he swings and pops one up. Left fielder Reed Johnson under it. 2 out.
Hey, Phil Niekro, even though he threw 95% knuckleballs, he ran it up there around 85.
Yeah.
When he had to, he fell behind. He went a little sinker up there for you.
Now Angel Pagan, who before he had a bunt hit in the 7th inning in the first game, was in a 1-for-22 skid, but got on base there and then got on base with a walk his first time up in this game and scored a run. As he tries to get uncorked. And he's batting right-handed.
There you go.
Now, the numbers will tell you that Hager's been worse against the lefties than he has been against the righties.
I don't know what the philosophy is here other than to keep your shoulder in. It's not an overpowering pitch, the knuckleball. I did not have that luxury. I'm not so sure it's a luxury.
Well, I've seen batters do that against knuckleballers, and I've also seen batters do it against Mariano Rivera, stay from the right side.
2-1 to Angel. Bounce foul. I would just think it seems so unnatural for guys used to switch hitting just to be looking for the arm coming from the same side.
I think they'd be more apt to swing from their natural side.
It reminds me in '79 when Gary Templeton broke the record with 100 hits from both sides of the plate, and he hit the whole month of September right-handed, even against right-handers. The natural right-hand hitter.
Just to set the record.
Wore them out. Wore them out. I said, what did you switch hitting for with that swing?
What was the answer?
I don't remember.
If I'm not starting, I'm not departing.
Angel pops one up, and Jamie Carroll is there. A much better second inning for Charlie Hager as he sets the Mets down 1-2-3. 3-0 after 2.
I never dreamed that quitting baseball, retiring from baseball would be as easy as it was. The transition from being a player to being a player manager to being a manager was very easy for me.
33 years later, Joe hasn't changed a bit.
Other than that baby blue thing was the top of a leisure suit. I know that.
A little less hair.
I can tell you, we especially in this town, we know Joe is the great manager of the Yankees and what he did there, and the manager here with the Mets. And we tend to forget how great of a player he was. 71 National League MVP. Batted .363 with 230 hits that year.
Didn't have a lot of infield hits either.
137 ribeye steaks.
That was the first year that Joe lost the weight. Joe was always a big, little portly when he played for the Braves, coming up as a catcher.
Third base then for the Cardinals.
He was the one that kind of sent Del Crandall on his way.
He had 8 triples in that season.
Really?
Yep.
Big ballpark.
Wow. A big ballpark in St. Louis, right?
Ollie behind the opposing pitcher, Hager, 3-0. And he throws a strike. Hager 1 for 10 in his career, 0 for 5 this year.
Joe always tells the story. What's the ballpark in Pittsburgh that Ralph played in? With the Forest Field, deep right center field. Joe said he hit a ball in the gap. He was running around, and he said, I'm going to go for inside the park home run. I said, how'd it go? He said, well, it was rounded third. The third base coach was laughing, so I figured I didn't have a chance or what.
3-2, and Hager swings and misses. So Ollie comes from 3-0 to strike out Hager, his first strikeout of the night.
Keeping that ball down. One of the things that you watch of that fastball is Oliver Perez has gone from a 100% four-seam fastball guy to a guy that's very comfortable throwing that two-seamers. And our friend in the booth, Fabio Hida and John Franco, guys that were down there in spring training, witnessed that. I know John Franco helped Oliver with that two-seam fastball.
There's Reed Johnson up for the second time, and it's way outside. Well, the Mets have not given up a run since the 6th inning on Saturday. David Ross drove in a run against Jonathan Neese. 19 consecutive scoreless innings since then, including back-to-back shutouts Sunday and this afternoon. 2-0 to Johnson. With James Loney on deck.
Well, you're right, Gary. Danny Worthen has been outstanding with this crew so far. And if they can ever wrap their brain around limiting the walks, boy.
Now it's 3-0 to Johnson. So Ollie's fallen behind the first 2 hitters in this inning, 3-0.
So he looks cold, but his pitches are hot.
And he'll keep his fingers crossed for John Maine tomorrow. John coming out of his last start because of a problem with his non-pitching elbow, pronounced himself fit and is ready to take the ball tomorrow afternoon.
When I was in Siberia down there, did you guys talk about that he came out of that out of throwing and just said, I'm ready to go. No need to ask any questions. I'm ready to go. Which is a good sign.
Well, it's what you want.
Yep.
It's what he wants with all the frustrations he's had for the last couple of years.
He needs the pitch.
So again, Ollie's come back from 3-0 to get to 3-2. Fouled away. There are your umpires for game 2. Angel Campos joins the crew for game 2. Ryan Gorman, the crew chief, working at second. Paul Nard at first, and Dan Molino, minor league umpire, up for the day at third base for game 2. Again, the 3-2. Struck him out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Oliver Perez after falling behind 3-0 each time. That's not something that happens very often.
Pretty big swing here by Reed Johnson, who I think of more as a guy that puts the ball in play, but he was almost early. Wasn't he on that fastball?
He was.
So 2 out and nobody on. And now Ollie will try and be more efficient against James Loney, who has the only hit in this game for the Dodgers. Single to center in the opening inning. Ball 1.
Talking about John Maine, I used to have a teammate, I'll remain nameless because he might not want to be on TV. And he said he used to always call certain players, he'd look at them and he'd
Sharply down to first.
He'd say that they're Robert Johnson. I said, what does that mean? Well, you know the song Crossroads. They're at the crossroads of their career. Pulling a Robert Johnson.
1-2-3 inning for Oliver Perez. 3-0 Mets. Luis Castillo leads off the home third inning, sacrificed his first time up, and Charlie Hager throws the first pitch fastball down for ball one.
I like these men hitters hitting for the right side. I don't know, just a different look.
Well, Pagan batted right-handed. Castillo hitting right-handed against the right-handed knuckleballer. 2-0.
You know, it's hard for the knuckleballer is that Mr. Ellis is doing a great job. It's just that ball looks like it's in the strike zone to the very end, but he can't frame it because he's just trying to survive it.
He's trying to do what Bob Uecker said, right? Best way to catch a knuckleball, wait for it to stop rolling and pick it up. And Castillo taking all the way 3-1. 26-year-old Charlie Hager, drafted by the White Sox in 2001, but did not make it as a conventional pitcher, went back to college, and then learned how to throw a knuckleball and got a second life. DeWitt throws out Castillo for the first out. So how is it that you throw this thing called the knuckleball?
Well, you're taught since you're a little kid is that you hold the ball with the seams and then you have it really loose and you let it flick. You flick the ball and let it go, right? It's just the opposite of knuckleball. No seams. You want to get it right here on the white part. And no, you don't put all your knuckles on the ball. You take your two fingers, you kind of dig your nails in, and then when you throw it, instead of flicking your wrist, you push it. And you never want your wrist to break. It's almost like you want to throw it with your thumb open and down. That's the best way.
Reyes popping one up, and DeWitt grabs it for the second out.
Well, this is a fastball here from Hager, who has a little bit of run in his fastball. But instead of most pitchers, when you pitch, you want to throw it down. This one, just the opposite. When you throw it, you want to keep your wrist really still, and you want to push the baseball. When you push it, that takes all the spin, and it should be coming up like this, dancing at you. And then you try to figure out, hit between the ball. There's one here, just try to hit it. It's awesome.
And the reason it moves the way it does?
Because none of the seams catch the air. The basic physics of it is that if seams hit the air, it's going to catch gravity and bring it down. If you don't have any seams catching any air, then it'll retain the way it goes, and that's why it jumps around. Did you have a good knuckleball? Because you had a good hook.
No, I didn't have a knuckleball.
Because most infielders and outfielders, they love to throw the knuckleball. They feel like they have a good one.
I had a good spitter.
You did a good spitter?
I had a good Vaseline ball.
And of course, the most important piece of equipment for a knuckleball pitcher is his nail file. Right?
Nail file and fast people behind you.
No, but seriously, I mean, they all carry the nail file with them because they got to keep those nails just so to dig into the ball.
And some of them, if they can't, they'll even have fake nails put on. Like some young ladies will have when they go down to get their, what do they call it? Their mani and their petty.
Mani-pedi?
Yes. They will have fake nails put on sometimes to help them.
I am not getting involved in this conversation.
By the way, it isn't only women who get mani-pedis. There are many gentlemen who also enjoy a good manicure and pedicure.
Yes.
Go on. I'm out of this one.
I know. we mailed in our mail card a long time ago, Keith. You're still the macho one.
3-2 to Jason Bay, who tripled in a run his first time up. And he goes down swinging at the knuckleball. First strikeout for Hager. He's now retired 8 in a row. But the Met pitching keeping on rolling. We go to the fourth. It's 3-0 New York. Trivia question for tonight: which two players hold the record on playing on the most World Series losing teams?
Wow.
Well, if you're going to lose, that's the one to be losing in.
Wow. 6. I mean, you think of those Brooklyn Dodger teams that were in so many World Series with the Yankees in the 50s, but I don't think they had 6 of them, did they? So it's got to be somebody who was on multiple teams.
Multiple teams.
Yeah. Andre Ethier leads off in the 4th inning against Oliver Perez, part of the batting order for the Dodgers. And Ethier fouls that first one. 0-1. Ethier walked his first time up. Met pitchers have now thrown 20 consecutive scoreless innings. What a roll. Oh, that one got away.
Well, it's a breaking ball that didn't break.
Just a little bit too high.
Right off the mechanical bull.
It's not quite Len Barker-like, but pretty close. Len Barker was with the Indians once, threw a breaking ball on top of the screen.
Yes, he did. But he also threw a perfect game.
Yes, he did.
See, I was thinking Nuke LaLoosh.
There you go.
That one broke a little bit better. 2-1. Well, you were talking about during the first game, Ronnie, about the cold and the wind and getting a grip on the ball.
It's hard to really get a grip on that breaking ball to really snap it.
3-1 to Ethier.
Guys, on that topic, talked to Johan Santana between games. He, of course, the winner in game 1 of this doubleheader, if you just tuned in. And he said the wind was a big factor. He said it was blowing his pitches a lot. He said so much so that he actually had to stop throwing the two-seam fastball because it was sinking so much he couldn't control it as Ethier draws a walk here. He said he threw a lot more sliders in that game because he had better control of it with the wind. So he said it was a huge factor. He said a couple of times, especially early in the game, where he let go of pitches and just didn't know where they were going to end up. So I'm kind of interested in watching Ollie tonight, how he controls it, and obviously in that at-bat he had a tough time.
Santana was able to turn in 6 scoreless in game 1 today. Now a leadoff walk to Ethier, and Matt Kemp bats, hit a slow ground ball to short his first trip. And Ollie buries that one in the dirt. 1-0.
You know, I've been fortunate enough to play and now watch, and I'll include Johan in that group, 4 or 5 outstanding, excellent pitchers, cream of the crop, and those guys are all share the same thing. When they have their great stuff, they always win. When they have good stuff, they always find a way to win. And when they don't have their good stuff, they give their team a chance to win, and that's Santana.
Toward left center field, and that'll fall for a hit. Pagan gets to it on a hop, holding Ethier at second. So the Dodgers have something working here in the 4th. Kemp has their second hit.
A little bit too quick here. Off the end of the bat. It's a nice little dork right in there. Pagan runs it down like a road runner. Well, I wish I could run like that. Beep, beep.
Here's Ronnie Belliard, who flied to center his first time up. And a fastball strike.
A little crucial time in the game for Oliver. You know, we've seen now 4, 5, 6. Those middle kind of innings are ones that seem to get in his way.
He's been able to pitch pretty efficiently so far. Oh, that one gets away, and the runners advance to second and third.
Right now on that split finger, he's just holding on to it too long.
I just think they ought to can it right now.
I like to go with 2 pitches, fastball, slider.
Get ahead, then maybe you throw one, bounce one up there.
If no one's on, especially.
First wild pitch of the season.
Got the umpire in the left knee.
No chance for Blanco. So now the double play taken out of order, with Ethier at third and Kemp at second. The infield will stay back with a 3-0 lead. And so the Mets shutout string very much in jeopardy here. 1-1 to Belliard. 2-1.
Those leadoff walks, Keith, huh? They always come back to haunt you.
Good pitch to hit right here.
The Dodgers struggled with runners in scoring position in the first game.
Taking all the way. How about that? No comprende. Comprendo.
Well, he keeps licking his fingers, blowing on his hand, trying to get some traction on the baseball with Blake DeWitt on deck. Two and two to Belliard. Just missed.
Good pitch.
Nice try.
I think it was down and in, though.
Might have been in, but nice try.
Yeah, I got the height, but it was in just a bit.
So 3-2 to the right-hand batter Belliard, with the left hand hitting DeWitt on deck, with second and third and nobody out. To shortstop, a run will score. The throw to third, and out of third is Kemp. A base running blunder by Kemp.
What is he thinking?
Well, he's having a rough night in the field and a rough night on the bases as well. Ethier comes in to score, and so after 20 straight scoreless innings, the Mets finally give up a run, but Kemp trying to go second and third on a ball hit in front of him.
Other than a strikeout or a pop-up, that's about the best case scenario you could have for Oliver and the Mets.
Just very bonehead. And boy, oh boy, there's just no excuse. Nice heads up by Jose. He clearly sees in front. He's got a shot. Nice, tough hop. Love the way I love how Jose's fundies at shortstop.
So that leaves a runner at first with one out for DeWitt.
Ball's in front of you. You're down by 3 runs. I mean, we can go on and on.
So now it's a 3-1 game. DeWitt grounded out to Castillo his first time up. Double play back in order. And the curveball in for a strike. 0-2. Well, Isadori Takahashi getting up in the Mets bullpen. Strange to see with a 3-1 lead in the fourth. Only 61 pitches for Perez.
I think Jerry wants 5 and adios.
Breaking ball popped up. Reyes out, Bay in. Bay's got a long way to come and gets there for the second out. Back to first, Belliard, 2 away. Update, 48 degrees, 25-mile-an-hour winds gusting to 36 out of the northwest. And that's why Bay had to come so far in for that ball.
Gary, it's 8:30. Don't do the weather until 10:20.
Just trying to keep you informed. Here's Jamie Carroll, against whom Jason Bay made a somersaulting catch in the second inning.
It is frigid.
A.J. Ellis on deck. What was your threshold, Keith, for wearing sleeves? How cold did it have to be?
You'd have one tonight.
This one would probably rank pretty close. I would try to start, you lose a little bit of your warmth as the game goes on. Try to get my first 2 at-bats without, and then I may have to switch. Did it in game 1 of the World Series? Remember how cold that was?
Yeah.
Oh, game 2 we got killed, right? Game 2 we got killed.
Game 1 was cold too.
And in game 2, I didn't wear them, and we fell down early. We lost that game big. And in the 6th inning, all the adrenaline was out of me because we were down like 10 runs, and I was freezing.
Do you have any other tricks to try and stay warm on nights like these?
Bobby Bonds had the greatest ones. Those danskin tights for the extra tall girl. That kept your feet warm.
That's a great.
And you didn't want to get in the mani-pedi conversation, but you wanted to mention that.
I bought baby blue and wrote Baby Blues in St. Louis. Well, that's where I found out with Bobby played with us that 1 year, Bobby Bonds Sr. And he played at Candlestick all those years. I said Mays and McCovey and Cepeda did it. And my feet were never cold because the long johns never had covered your feet and you'd freeze.
It's good enough for Willie Mays.
It's good enough for me. But I was color coordinated.
Ball 4, and Carroll draws a walk. Second of the inning issued by Oliver. His third of the night. So 2 on, 2 out. Brian Custer and Brandon Tierney will be debating today's Mets-Dodgers doubleheader as they bring you the inside scoop on the Hot 9 New York sports stories of the day in the next Wheelhouse, presented by Pepsi, weekdays at 5:30 only on SNY. Now A.J. Ellis, the catcher, flied to right his first time up.
We'll tell you how cold it was in that World Series, Gary. Whenever the fans come up and want me to sign a picture, if it's a picture of me in a turtleneck, I know it's from the World Series because I never wore a turtleneck before or after the World Series. But Charlie had those, I think they called them Dickies. It was just like the top of the turtleneck part, and it kept you warm because that's how cold it was.
And since that's the video everybody always sees of you, they think you wore it all the time.
That's right, like I was trying to style with it or something.
And a lot of guys used to put that analgesic balm on underneath that was the hot stuff.
Yep.
Two on and 2 out. And Ellis takes in the dirt. Ellis called up when the Dodgers put Brad Ausmus on the disabled list. Ausmus, 40 years old, had never been on the disabled list before. But he's got a back problem, and he's going to be out for a couple of months.
That's what happens when you get old.
Heard about that.
It's a young man's game.
Into left field, a base hit. Belliard turns third. He'll score easily. Stopping at second is Carroll. A.J. Ellis with an RBI single. And it cuts the Met lead to 3-2. So the Dodgers taking advantage of a couple of walks from Oliver Perez here in the fourth.
Well, it should be a tie ball game except for that base running blunder out of Kemp. Right down the pipe. Nice hitting.
So 2 runs are in. The tying run at second. The Dodgers will leave Charlie Hager in to hit. And I wonder if the circumstances were different with a doubleheader today, day game tomorrow, whether Joe would go to his bench here. Although Hager's pitched a little better the last couple of innings, and Dan Warthen heads out to the mound. Takahashi's been throwing for quite some time. And is he throwing in anger? Is he throwing to get some work in?
Well, Keith has his big dog donkey, so you have those big leashes for the donkey, his dog. Then you have the Chihuahua leash. And I think Mr. Perez has the Chihuahua leash. Not a big long. He doesn't have a lot of patience.
Donkey's not a donkey.
Look, a donkey on that. The name Donkey.
If you would just call him by his proper name, Duncan, none of us would get confused.
No, that's right.
71 pitches for Ollie, working in the fourth inning, now with just a 1-run lead. Hager struck out his first time, and Ollie falls behind him again. He was behind Hager 3-0 first time up. Takahashi drawing a crowd behind him.
Yeah, they're all waving. They know they're on TV, but they're checking out Takahashi's curveball.
Oh, boy.
And now it's 3-0 to Hager. So Ollie really struggling here.
Well, he loses this guy.
Warthen's finding out if Takahashi's ready. So, yep, he is, Skip.
Right-hand hitter, Reed Johnson on deck. 3-0 to Hager with 2 out and 2 on. He's going to take 1 and maybe 2 pitches here. Well, he only needs to take 1. Now the bases are loaded. 3 walks in the inning, 4 on the night for Ollie. Does he get another batter?
No.
The answer is definitively no. So after 3 2/3, Perez is out of the game. He will exit with a 1-run lead and hand it over to Isanori Takahashi, who was brilliant in long relief his last outing. A short night for Oliver Perez. And serenaded as he exits. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. last time we saw Isunori Takahashi on Friday, he was as good as you could be in long relief.
3 innings of work against the Atlanta Braves with 7 punch-outs. Yes, folks, 7 punch-outs. And did get his first hit and got his first big league win. All in a day's work.
16 strikeouts in 11 innings this season for Takahashi, who comes in with the bases loaded. 2 out, trying to protect a 1-run lead in the 4th inning. Comes in to face Reed Johnson, who grounded out and struck out against Oliver Perez, who's gone after 3 2/3. And Johnson takes ball 1. So Ollie threw 74 pitches, half of them balls, half of them strikes. 3 2/3, 3 hits, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, and a wild pitch. It leaves with them loaded. Loaded by the 7, 8, and 9 hitters. And Blanco stops that one. Stopping the swing was Johnson, at least to the satisfaction of Paul Nart down at first base.
He missed that.
Let's see. You know me, I'm always partial to the hitter.
He missed that. That ball snapped.
It's a beautiful scoop by Blanco on a tough pickup, saving a run. So Takahashi behind 2-0. And Johnson takes a knee-high strike. And Keith just had a heart attack. His head is on the table.
Take a fastball. 2-0. Kerry, get the defibrillator. Oh my goodness.
2-1 to Reed Johnson. Blanco moves inside and he jams him and he fouls it back. Good pitch by Takahashi. Now it's 2-2.
There's a better 2-1 pitch than it was 2-0. 2-0 was the pitch to hit.
Lost night for Oliver Perez. The only saving grace is he left with the lead. Not his lead, though, as he didn't go the 5 innings required by a starter to get a win. So he'll still be without a win this season. 2-2 to Johnson. Low, ball 3. So now the merry-go-round will be in motion. James Loney on deck.
I think Mr. Takahashi has the guts to throw a 3-2 changeup, Keith.
Oh, boy.
I think he does.
Oh, we'll see.
35-year-old Isunori Takahashi trying to get the Mets out of a mess in the 4th. The runners go. 3-2. Ball 4, and it ties the game. 4 walks in the inning by Met pitching, allowing the Dodgers to get even as Johnson walks with the bases loaded to force in the tying run.
Well, uncharacteristic for Takahashi.
So it's a 3-3 ball game, and now James Loney, who has singled to center and grounded out 1 for 2. And Loney takes a fastball for a strike. Loney, the 9th man up in the inning. It all started with a walk to Andre Ethier. Kemp had a base hit. Belliard drove in a run with a fielder's choice. DeWitt flied out for the 2nd out, but then 4 straight have reached since then, 3 via walk. The other an RBI single by A.J. Ellis, who's now at 3rd. 1-1 to Loney. And Ethier, who began the whole mess, is on deck. Ellis at 3rd, Hager the pitcher, jacket on. At 2nd, Johnson at 1st.
Defense has been out there a long time, haven't they, in this weather?
One and one to Loney, a good left field hitter. And takes the breaking ball off the plate, 2-1.
Looks like Takahashi having a little trouble with his command. The cold weather here might be a factor.
And bases loaded is usually a factor, too.
Big pitch on 2-1. And Loney fouls it off, and he's gotten even 2-2.
Good cut.
He's got what you like, Keith. He's got a pretty level cut, doesn't he?
He's got a nice little stroke. I like Ethier the best of all in this ball club. I like his swing.
He's got a pretty short stroke for a guy with that much power.
22 minutes the Mets have been in the field.
What a great angle this is. It's like a little league distance.
2-2. And it misses, ball 3.
Good eye.
So again, 3-2. 2 out, bases loaded, and they'll all be moving. Ellis, Hager, and Johnson, the base runners. Three-2 to Loney. Foul back.
Good cut.
So Takahashi came with the fastball on 3-2.
It's always the thing about this game, guys, isn't it? I'm going to give you, you know what I'm throwing. I'm going to get everything I can behind it. You take your best shot.
And Takahashi's not a hard thrower. Again, the 3-2. Strike 3 call. Loney going right at the home plate umpire, Angel Campos. But Loney goes down looking, and Takahashi gets the 3rd out. The Dodgers rally to tie it with 3 in the 4th. Loney goes off steaming. Campos. He got the thumb. We got the one more word in, and that was enough for him to get a run.
Well,
and that got Notori and Larry Boa and got Duncan involved.
Well, this is where the coaches have to get the player out of there, or he'll get a 2-3 game suspension.
Well, Angel Campos calling the 3rd strike with the bases loaded on a 3-2 count on a very borderline pitch that easily could have been low. But I thought Loney was going to get run when he dropped his helmet and went chin to chin with him even before that. Ronnie Belliard moves over from 3rd base to 1st base, and Casey Blake comes in at 3rd to replace the ejected James Loney. So we start fresh in the bottom of the fourth in a 3-3 game. David Wright leads off against Charlie Hager, who gave up 3 in the first, but has now retired 8 in a row. And Wright takes a strike. David walked his first time up, his 21st walk of the season, which leads the National League. 0-2 to David.
Oh, here's the pitch, and it's low. I am sorry. That is not a strike. But the Mets will take it.
If it's ball 4, the Dodgers have the lead, but instead it's a 3-3 game. By the way, Keith just made a Gold Glove play. Did you see that?
He does it all the time. Show off.
With one hand tied behind my back.
Ripped into center field, a base hit. Career hit number 999 for David Wright.
Well, knuckleball right on it. We've got barrel that bat over the head of David.
Also known to pitchers as Chuck and Duck, because that ball went right over the head of Hager.
Or push and duck.
Yeah, there you go.
So here's Ike Davis, who had a sacrifice fly his first time up. David had a stolen base in game 1 today, has 7 for the year. Andrew McCutcheon of the Pirates leads the league with 10 stolen bases. Ninth big league game for Ike Davis. The Mets are 7-1 since he arrived. There have been 3 stolen base attempts this year with Hager on the mound, and Dodgers have yet to throw anybody out while he's been pitching.
Well, that's the one thing you can do with knuckleballers, because they don't throw at a lot of velocities. You can steal on them. What Phil Niekro did that made him so tough to steal on, it just drove Lou Brock to distraction, was that Lou always said it was that Niekro never came set in his buck, in his set position. And he was right. He never called a balk on him.
There was that one season when they actually enforced that rule, the stop balk. I think it was 87 when balks went up by like 300%.
It was 87. I'll remember it forever.
I remember that. Very silly.
Fouled away, and then everybody else kind of reverted to the old way of calling things in '88, except for Bob Davidson, who kept on calling balks, and that's why he became known as Balk and Bob.
He didn't get the memo.
Henry Mejia getting up in the Mets bullpen. 1-2 to Ike Davis. Fastball away, 2-2. Charlie Hager making his 4th start of the year. He's the Dodgers' 5th starter, and they'll need a 6th starter tomorrow. They're expected to call up Josh Towers to make the start, veteran, with Vicente Padilla on the disabled list. And the Mets will be throwing John Maine in the final game of the series tomorrow. That one almost caught Belliard by surprise.
Should go in and talk to Hager. Charlie, you know that I don't play over here a lot.
I was going to say, have we seen Belliard at first base before?
I don't know.
Remember if we have. Slowly hit to short. Carroll gets the out at second. The relay by DeWitt is in time for the double play. 6-4-3 on a slowly hit ball. 2 out and nobody on. Well, the Dodgers lost their first baseman, James Loney, on what was strike 3 on the right after ball 3 on the left. Yeah, that was a ball. And then this was a strike.
We will let you decide.
Well, what do you think?
That's ball 4. I'd have been hot.
You might have got thrown out yourself.
Jeff Francoeur popped to short his first time up. For the record, Ronnie Belliard before this season, 26 career games at first base.
Okay.
So it's not a complete neophyte. Whether he has his own first baseman's mitt, that I don't know. I know when Alex Cora played first base, that game he made the diving catch in St. Louis, he didn't have his own. He used Chip Hale's first baseman's mitt.
I know the catcher for the Dodgers tonight does not have his own mitt.
That's true. Well, there's a story behind that. A.J. Ellis inherited his knuckleball catcher's mitt from Josh Bard, because Charlie Hager's last stop before he got to the Dodgers was with the Padres, and Josh Bard was the catcher there. And when Hager got released by the Padres, Bard said, "Here, take this. I'm not going to need this anymore." And so Hager has carried that mitt with him, and he passed it over to A.J. Ellis, who is wearing Josh Bard's butterfly catcher's mitt.
It's a bit of an irony, though, because when Josh Bard was with the Red Sox, they traded him for Doug Mirabelli, traded from Mirabelli's back, because Bard couldn't catch Wakefield.
Right. And Bard got traded to San Diego, and that's how the Padres wound up with Clay Meredith as well in that deal. Meredith is now in Baltimore. Hit hard toward the hole, base hit for Frank Cora. And Jeff waiting on the knuckleball nicely that time. And he has his first hit of the day. A 2-out single. The Mets' fourth hit off Hager. Now Henry Blanco popped to short his first time up.
Looking for a helmet?
He should know now. He's got a base hit.
He's a veteran.
Yeah.
Well, don't all the pitchers' helmets go in one big bag?
Yeah, it's just the starting pitchers out.
They don't want to put the helmets of the pitchers in with the hitters, because there'll be nothing but offers in that bag.
It's like an infection.
Yes. Gary, I told you it's tough to be a pitcher. I told you didn't believe me. It's tough. These guys play every day. They give it to you every day.
Oh, 4 days out of 5 anyway.
That's right.
Blanco rips one to left field. Johnson going back. It's over his head. Here comes Frank Cora racing for third. Johnson gets to the ball, and Chip Hale has to hold Frank Cora at third base.
Wisely.
A double for Henry Blanco. But now does that change Jerry's plans as far as letting Takahashi hit?
Oh. Nice play by Reed here. Johnson hits the cutoff man and held up wisely. Chip Hale. Let me tell you something. Chip Hale is one heck of a third base coach. He is aggressive. He is Johnny on the spot. I like him over there.
I mean, you want to get greedy with 2 out and the pitcher on deck, but sometimes you just can't.
Well, he would have been out by a mile.
So Takahashi will bat second and third and 2 out. And he takes a rip at a fastball. 0-1.
Well, there's the ILTV pitch differential.
Right down the pipe. That's asking for trouble.
That's cake.
First extra base hit of the season for Blanco. Takahashi batting 1,000 in his major league career. Can he keep it up? Lines one to left, but Johnson playing shallow. Oh, came in too far, but snags it to end the inning. Well, Takahashi gave it quite the effort. That's at 3 hits in the inning, but they can't score as Johnson, whoop, right there. Still 3-3.
Welcome back to Citi Field, where during the break I won a gold and silver medal. It was a very productive time here at Citi Field. This is unbelievable. I'm with Billy DeMong, who is a New York native, who won the gold medal and the silver in this year's Olympics. First time ever an American has won any medal in the Nordic event. You grew up in the Lake Placid area. And by the way, these things are heavy.
Yeah, they're a little over 1.25 pounds. You know, they're made of recycled electronics, but they're pretty solid.
If I were you, I would just walk around town with these, and just see what the reaction is.
If you were me, you'd get over it pretty quick. But the cool thing is everybody loves to see them, and it's like bringing a little piece of the Olympics to people. And so I still, I love going into schools and letting kids look at them, going to ski practices, and recently got a chance to go visit our troops overseas. And you pass them around to 500 people, you don't have to worry about where they're going because everybody in the room's paying attention for you.
Billy, it's got to be a great honor. I mean, never has an American won any medal in the Nordic event. You win an individual and you win a team out there in Vancouver. Just the feeling of that and being the first ever to accomplish such a thing.
I've worked really hard with my teammates for the last 14 years, training together, moving around the country, moving around the world, and it's the most satisfied feeling I've had for 7 days in a row, and it's a tremendous accomplishment on the part of our team. But I just hope that it's the beginning, and there's so many good cross-country and Nordic enthusiasts in this country. I'm glad that we were able to do it for their sake, but more so, I think the kids have changed their expectations, and we'll see more of this in the future.
Kids around here, they grow up and maybe they're given a baseball and a glove or a basketball, and you were given skis. As Andre Ethier bats here for the Dodgers in the top of the fifth, you were given skis. So your first memories of your first time on the snow?
I was 5 years old, and if anybody else watched the Winter Olympics, they might have seen Tim Burke in the biathlon. Tim's a year younger than me, but his sister's my age, so I actually raced his sister, Katie. Instantly knew what the point was, get to the finish line the fastest, loved it. It was a passion of mine ever since. And, Tim Burke and I grew up on the same dead-end road along with this guy here, Colin Supernut, all Adirondack kids. And, look for me and Tim in the next Olympic Games in Sochi, Russia in 2014.
Wow, that's great. Well, give us a feel, an idea. What is the experience like? What is it like to be there as, a united team representing your country? And just can you give the fans a feel of what that whole emotion is like?
Most people don't realize we compete all year long overseas, but, when we go to the Olympic Games, we're playing for the big team, the USA, all the way. And it's an incredible feeling. You take all the prize money off the table, you take all the other accolades, and you are competing for your country. And it's such an incredible experience to not only just go to the Olympics with the team, but especially to bring home some hardware and to have been part of the medal count. The U.S. has never won the Winter Olympic medal count before. This is the first time, so to have played a role in that is a special feeling.
Do you know going in that, I guess you do, but how much is it a part of that this has never been done in this country? How much of it is you guys are thinking of, wow, this is something, we can make history here? How much of that is on your mind?
There's definitely a lot of that, and having been on teams in 2002 and 2006 that were really close to being that team, it was that much more special to do it this year after having some highs and lows along the way. But it is a little piece of history. I think as an individual, it's hard to kind of swallow that. But knowing as a Nordic enthusiast myself what an important milestone that is, I'm looking forward to seeing what other programs and other athletes do with this in the future.
Billy, it's an outstanding achievement. Congratulations, and thanks for coming out tonight. Okay.
Hey, thanks a lot. It was if anybody saw my first pitch, I was about 3 feet over the catcher's head, but at least I made it.
I don't think it matters. And guys, I think for effect, I'm just going to walk around with these medals and just see what happens.
I was going to ask you if you plan to give them back, Kevin.
I think I kind of have to. Did you notice as the interview went on, my neck kind of got lower and lower?
Kevin, I'm coming to Cincinnati. Bring them there. I can make some use out of them, I'll tell you.
Meanwhile, while Kevin was talking to Billy, another Dodger went away muttering as Andre Ethier was struck out on a close pitch.
So Mr. Takahashi continues his strikeout run.
7 strikeouts in 3 innings his last outing against Atlanta. Now struck out 2 of the first 3 batters he's faced tonight. Kemp is 1 for 2.
Kemp's got that one zone swing and
one-handed too, huh? The one hand comes off the bat, Keith.
Looks like he can't adjust. He just one zone hitter.
Well, again on a 2-0 pitch, he has something of an awkward swing. He hit the ball almost off the ground on 2-0 back in the first inning. Belliard on deck. Takahashi missing with the fastball and behind 3-1.
This is my theory about this, Gary, and it might be completely wrong. I think with all the videotape and with all the scenarios that the scouts give the players now, they have some hitters that become premeditated in when they're going to swing because they believe they know what's going to be coming.
Well, another low strike, and it's 3-2.
Well, I guess they got him upset. He's going to call that low strike now. You don't mind if it's consistent. If that's a borderline strike, I thought it was low, but you don't mind if an umpire calls it a strike. Dutch Brennan was a notorious low ball umpire, but you always knew it was going to be a strike.
8th full count for Met pitching tonight. And the changeup just fouled off.
Well, the best thing for a home plate umpire, or any umpire, is that you have a nice quiet evening. In our first game, Ted Barrett had about as quiet a game as you can. He had a very strong game behind the plate.
Angel Campos calling game 2, a much more inexperienced umpire than Ted Barrett. 4th batter for Takahashi in his 3rd full count. Fisted foul.
Takahashi really has an idea of what he's doing out there. You know?
I like our 2 Japanese pitchers. It's just a shame Igarashi got hurt.
We haven't heard anything on him, have we? No.
Hamstring injury, probably be a few weeks, you'd think. Takahashi was a starting pitcher for the Yomiuri Giants for 11 years. Very successful in Japan for the premier franchise there. And again, Kemp just getting a piece of the changeup. Ronnie Belliard on deck. So 4 batters for Takahashi, and he's already thrown 28 pitches. This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat to Kemp. Another changeup fouled off.
Keith, even on these nights, you go no gloves?
Yes.
Never wore gloves?
Never liked to wear gloves. And when it's cold like this, too, early in the year, the air's dry. I use the pine tar. Your hands can crack.
Oh, wow.
You get those horrible, the cracking.
Yeah.
In the seam, not the seams, the creases of your fingers.
Yeah.
And they were always, never liked it, but you had to push through it.
Moisturizer. And Kemp lifts one to right. Frank Core is there. So Takahashi kept throwing him changeups, and Kemp finally put one in play. 2 out. Well, I know Keith objects to this, but play hooky and get to Citi Field as the series with the Dodgers concludes tomorrow afternoon at 1:10 p.m. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now.
Not if you got a big test tomorrow, though.
We're not encouraging truancy, really. But, if you can make it, we're very happy to have you.
I think they're thinking more hooky for our adults out there who are, maybe going to do extra work today and Thursday.
Flex scheduling.
Yes, there we go.
Ronnie Belliard 0 for 2, drove in a run with a fielder's choice in the 4th. And if you're wondering why the Mets are playing a day game tomorrow, it's because the Dodgers are going back to the West Coast and have a game on Thursday night. So
I think there should be more day games anyway on getaway days.
I love that, and I love day games during the week anyways.
I've always loved it. In St. Louis, they were called the businessmen special until they got a little more up to date. They started calling them business person specials.
Well, for many, many years, the Mets never played a night game before May 1st.
That's right.
I mean, that was until probably the late 70s or 80s. In deference to cool April weather, it was day games until May 1st. Here's the 1-2 to Belliard. Hit the shortstop, rolls right to Reyes. And a 1-2-3 inning for Takahashi with some heavy lifting along the way. We're halfway through in game 2. Mets and Dodgers all even. Let's answer our AT&T trivia question. This was a great question. What two players have played on 6 World Series losing teams?
Duke and Pee Wee Reese.
How about that? Good call.
Right. That's good. Ellie Howard, huh?
Ellie Howard with the Red Sox in 67.
That's right.
67,
yes.
In addition to the Yankees in 64. Yeah. And yeah. How about that? Ellie Howard played with the Yankees. He was with them in 55 when they lost to the Dodgers, 57 when they lost to the Braves, 60 when they lost to the Pirates, 63 when they lost to the Dodgers, 64 when they lost to the Cardinals, and then the Red Sox in 67.
Yep.
There you go. And Pee Wee lost 6 World Series, all to the Yankees, from 41 to 56.
Elston Howard was quite a hitter.
Poor Ellie, he was like the opposite of Yogi, right?
Well, Yogi has more World Series rings than anybody in history.
Is he at 10?
10 or 11.
Wow. Trying to stay warm, the Dodger bullpen.
Surprised they haven't lit a fire. 2-1 to Angel Pagan, who walked and scored in the first, popped up in the second. Mets got 3 hits in the fourth, including a double, but didn't score. Thanks to a double play in the middle of all that. Castillo and Reyes to follow as the Met switch hitters continue to bat right-handed against Charlie Hager, who falls behind 3-1.
It's interesting that Casey Blake is playing all the way back with Angel Pagan up. I think you'd have to, even right-handed. You know, I know 3-1 count is different now, but
yeah. And ball 4, so Pagan's on with the leadoff walk. Third given up by Hager, but the first since the first inning. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Chevy. Find your nearest dealer on ChevyOffers.com or call 877-64-CHEVY. So let's see how the Mets play it here with Pagan at first and Castillo at the plate. Sacrificed and grounded out 0 for 1 in this game. Blake looking for the bunt and Castillo squaring and taking very high. Yogi won 10 World Series, lost 4. That's pretty good. Wow, that's a lot of rings. That's 1 for every finger, you know. Unless you're Antonio Alfonseca.
He's did pretty well himself.
Alfonseca? Oh,
in the World Series ring department.
I was going to say, Alfonseca has a World Series ring, right? With the Marlins. Yeah, Joe's done all right. See if Castillo's bunting again here. And it's 2-0.
Well, Joe might be his most challenging year. I know that he had some challenging years in the Yankee uniform from front office and et cetera, but it's going to be a tumultuous year this year with the, how do we put it? I guess just bluntly, the owner of the team is going through a divorce and very contentious.
Yeah, owners.
Owners.
That's the issue. And, you know, the other thing is, I don't think Joe, since the beginning of his Yankee tenure, has ever had a team with as many pitching issues as this Dodger team has. I mean, he's always had great pitching. But not this year, at least not right now. 2-1 to Castillo, who was not bunting on the last pitch, taking all the way.
Hit and run? It's kind of tough to do it off this guy, throwing too many balls.
Yeah. Well, he just walked the guy, though. You got to say to yourself, 2-1, Castillo up. I've got to throw him a fastball.
He gets the fastball, but it misses high, and it's 3-1.
Wow.
And that fastball that was 82 is now 78.
Well, he can get by throwing it, but you got to throw it for a strike every time.
He's looking for an early shower if he loses this guy.
Bullpen getting going for the Dodgers. Ramon Troncoso, who pitched in the first game, up again. He's their workhorse. 3-1 to Castillo. He's likely to take a pitch here. And it's a strike, 3-2.
Well, Angel will be running here. Castillo, a tough strikeout.
He's got to watch out because Hager a couple of times has done a quick pitch. Let's see if he does it here.
Belliard playing first base, holding against Pagan. Angel runs. Castillo fouls it off. Charlie Hager wearing number 49, a classic knuckleballer's number.
Charlie Huff's number.
Tom Candiotti also won 49. He worked with Huff on a couple of occasions, working on that knuckleball. Pagan running, and it's ball 4, and the Mets have the first 2 men on. Back-to-back walks. 4 for the night for Hager, and the Mets have 2 aboard with Reyes coming up.
Jeez.
How do you know when your knuckleballer's had enough?
Keith, you would age like presidents age if you married.
Oh, please. I had already told him, go up in the shower and get in a cab and get out.
You'd go through a lot of pitchers, wouldn't you? Here's Reyes. And here comes Joe Torre, and that's going to be it for Hager. So it looks like Joe's going to pull the plug after 4 innings plus for his knuckleballer. Well, he got 6 innings out of his starter in game 1, Kuroda, then used 4 arms out of the bullpen. He's got Trancoso, his workhorse, up now. No sign has yet gone out. And it may take Trancoso a couple of extra pitches to get loose here on a cold night. So Angel Campos will go out for a decision, and this will give Joe another chance to moan at the home plate umpire about a couple of calls against his guys.
Well, he might be leaving him in. No, there it is. Gee.
Oh, geez. Shocking.
So Hager takes his exit. And Trancoso will come on for the second time today in a 3-3 game in the 5th. Insight and opinion on today's Mets-Dodgers doubleheader, plus up-to-the-minute Mets news, insider info, and exclusive behind-the-scenes video on Mets Blog, presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Well, Ramon Trancoso appearing for the 14th time, because he appeared in the first game today.
Did a nice job in that game, by the way. He is their ground ball specialist. Appeared 73 games last year, pitched 82 2/3 innings.
Reyes up with 2 on and nobody out. Jose had an RBI single in the first inning, popped up in the 3rd. Pagan at second, Castillo at first. They both walked against Charlie Hager, who leaves after 4 innings plus. Trancoso being asked to get the Dodgers out of a jam and keep the game tied. 14 appearances in the first 20 games. I mean, that's just it's off the charts. That's Mike Marshall-like. How can you keep up that pace? Hager looks on as his runs are aboard. Reyes takes the fastball away, and it's 2-0. And as that pitch was thrown, Jamie Carroll was all the way over at second base, trying to keep Pagan close, opening up the left side of the infield. Jason Bay on deck. Mets had a 3-0 lead. Dodgers tied it with 3 off Oliver Perez in the 4th.
Sinker ball away. A lot of room in left center for Reyes.
And now it's 3-0. Pitching twice in one day in this kind of weather, you wonder if Troncoso's having trouble getting loose.
Well, you better find it quick.
Dodgers hurry another pitcher to the bullpen mound. 3-0 to Reyes, taking all the way. It's a strike.
Don't take Jose. You get a fastball you like, you jump all over it.
Should get the same pitch.
Well, he's not going to be taken all the way on 3-1. 27-year-old Ramon Troncoso. And Carroll makes a break to the bag, and Troncoso almost threw it into center field.
There's two things that are always tough about this play. One, the timing of it, and two, that your pitcher, who is used to throwing 90 miles an hour, can able to make that athletic infield kind of throw, and this is a bad throw by Troncoso. Lucky that did not go into center field.
Brush back the umpire.
3-1 to Reyes. There's a strike on the inside corner, 3-2.
Looked like Jose was taking all the way. See if they'll put the runners in motion. Javier Dare. The line drive, take you right out of the inning. Got enough speed on the bases. The gapper's going to score Castillo. I'd hold him.
Kemp moves over toward left center with 2 strikes on Reyes. To left field along the line, foul.
Oh, that would have been sweet.
Didn't miss by 2.
Wow.
So Pagan and Castillo returning. 3-2 to the number 3 hitter. And Reyes top front over the mound, right at the bag to DeWitt. His throw goes to first, not in time. Knocked down by Belliard to keep Pagan at third base. Was Castillo out at second?
Yeah, I didn't even think he tagged him.
I didn't think he touched second base, but I guess he must have.
Yes, he did. Yep, nice play. That was 2. They would have had a double play there.
I don't think that throw was going to be in time anyway.
I think they had him.
Do you?
I do. We'll see. I've been wrong before. No, he'd have hit it.
Still, it's another play that big leaguers have to make, and with the errors that the Dodgers have this year, that's been part of the problem.
And a nice job by Belliard just to keep that ball in front of him. Make sure that Pagan didn't score. We've already seen him take the extra base and score on a play like that. So now Bay with first and third and 1 out. Jason had an RBI triple to the left center field fence back in the first. His 3rd triple already. Struck out his last time up. Looking to get that lead run home from third in a 3-3 game in the 5th. See if Reyes tries to swipe one here. Soft toss to first by Troncoso. Going inside to Bay with that sinker, 1-0.
You just keep playing with matches here. This Troncoso falling behind.
Remember last time he faced Bay in the first game, kind of pitched around him a little bit to get to David Wright.
Ended up intentionally walking him. Bay has started to swing the bat much better. Curveball misses, and it's 2-0. Jason 7 for 14 over the last 5 games is starting to hit for extra base power. Homered in the first game today. David Wright, who's been on base twice in this second game, waiting on deck. Two and out to Jason Bay, and Reyes back easily.
Oh, defense right there, a little shallow in center field for Kemp.
And Bay takes a lusty cut at a sinker. 2-1.
That's where you got to pitch Jason. You got to keep the ball down on him. Good sinker. One strike. You throw Jason belt high and up, you're looking for punishment.
Broken bat liner, but right at Blake for the second out. So 2 away.
Just mentioning the ball up, but he got it in enough. The ball ran in on his hands just to get in enough to break his bat. Still a very good quality at bat there for Bay.
So it's left to David Wright. Well, the Mets had 3 hits in the 4th inning, but couldn't score. They got the first 2 aboard here in the 5th. And now it's up to Wright to make sure that they don't leave that out there.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This young man punched out David in that 7th inning when he came out.
Got him looking.
Fastball away looking. 3-2 pitch, I believe. But this guy should be up David's alley. Down and in with that fastball and that curveball.
Hit to right center field. Falling fast. Base hit. And the Mets take the lead. Pagan's in to score. On his way to third. Reyes. David Wright with his 1,000th career base hit. And it gives the Mets the lead 4-3.
Well, he just kind of muscled that ball out in the opposite field. Congratulations, Dave. That is good sinker, got in his hands. That is a nice milestone right there.
1,000 hits, his 868th game. And David can start on his next 1,000. Now Ike Davis bats with first and third and 2 out. So Wright 2 for 2 in this nightcap. Late swing at the sinker, 0-1. David Wright with 1,000 hits, 143 home runs in 868 games. Only 3 players in New York baseball history have had 1,000 hits with that many home runs in as few games as Wright has accomplished it. Only 3. Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio. Wow, David Wright.
Pretty good company.
How about that?
Drop that Elias stat in his locker before you leave tonight.
Well, you know, David has been catching a lot of heat here lately. But when you think about the totality of what he has done in a relatively short period of time in his career, it's pretty awesome. Curveball misses to Davis, 2-1.
Bring him around with hits like that, I'll tell you that. 2 out RBI hits, just backbreakers for the pitcher.
The run is charged to Charlie Hager. He's now pitcher of record on the short side. Foul back.
Good cut.
The Mets are trying to do something tonight. As you look at that last swing by Davis, that they have done only once in their history. And the one time was 39 years ago. And that is sweep a doubleheader from the Dodgers. This is the 21st doubleheader between these two teams. The only Mets sweep came in 1971 at Shea Stadium. There goes Wright. Davis lines one to the gap in left center field. That's in there and going to the wall. Reyes scores. Wright will score. Davis to second with a 2-run double. 6-3 New York.
Kid, you don't want to get giddy, but this kid can hit.
Hanging curveball outside part of the plate and going right with it. Yes. And David running, and he's going to score easily because of that. And very, very impressive.
Well, Ike Davis had an opposite field double in the first game today. He has another opposite field double, 3 RBIs in this game. And the Mets have put 3 on the board here in the 5th. They go up 6-3 as Rick Honeycutt visits the mound. John Link, who pitched in the first game in relief, is up again for the Dodgers. 2 out hits by Wright and now by Davis, giving the Mets a 3-run lead.
Well, there's the curve. He's threw it on the outside corner. You can't complain about that. And look at watch. Keep that frozen, guys. We'll come back to it. I just want to point out how we mentioned how Ike kind of steps in a little bit in the bucket. Look, he's stepping this direction, which makes him very strong in here, a little vulnerable out here. We've got those long arms, that long bat, and he covers it. Beautiful hitting. Beautiful hitting.
Well, Ike had just 2 RBIs coming into this game. He's got 3 in the nightcap, so 5 now for Davis.
Troncoso and Link must be the cold weather pitchers for Joe.
Here's Frank Core hitting one to right center field, and Ethier ranging over. That ends the inning, but the Mets with big 2-out hits. David Wright reaching a milestone with his 1,000th career base hit, and it gives the Mets the lead. The Mets put up 3 and lead 6-3 after 5. Well, it's the second game of the doubleheader, but as you see in the Delta 6th inning recap, it's been a bunch of 3s on the board tonight. Mets got 3 in the first off Charlie Hager. Dodgers got 3 in the 4th off Oliver Perez. But David Wright's 1,000th career hit gave the Mets the lead. Ike Davis hitting a 2-run double, and now Hisanori Takahashi's on the long end of a 6-3 score, as he's worked an inning and a third in relief without giving up a hit. Blake DeWitt leads off in the 6th inning for the Dodgers.
Huge inning right here for Takahashi and the Mets. 0 a must.
DeWitt is grounded out and flied out 0 for 2. Oliver Perez went 3 2/3, 3 runs, 3 hits, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, and no decision for Oliver tonight. Jamie Carroll on deck. 1-1 to DeWitt. So that's 13 straight games Mets starters have given up 3 runs or less. Not exactly what you wanted from Oliver tonight, but nonetheless, it keeps that streak intact. Check swing, foul ball. Remember a few years ago when Santana was with the Twins and they came up with another lefty who looked like he was going to be just as good as Santana, named Francisco Liriano?
I do know him.
And then he disappeared for a few years, came back last year and was awful. Well, he's thrown 8 shutout innings against the Tigers tonight. His ERA is under 1.
Yeah. Well, he had some arm injuries for a couple of years, and he also had some big league-itis for a couple of years, and that's gone now. You get humbled a couple of years, you go work hard and come back.
Strike 3 call. DeWitt down looking. 3rd strikeout for Takahashi. All on call 3rd strikes. It's a strikeout machine. Let's check in with Chris Carlin. He's standing by for a New York State Smokers Quitline game break. All right, thanks, Chris. The Marlins started the day at 11-9. The Mets right now are 11-9. A chance to go to 12-9 tonight. The Phillies are 11-8. They play in San Francisco later.
You're just saying.
I'm just saying. There's a possibility, if everything breaks right tonight, that after the miserable start that the Mets got off to at 4-8, they could end this night in first place. Who would have thought?
Would have that be something?
In a week and a half.
You Met fans, remember this. Remember we had that open line that took the calls, and you're all screaming and yelling, and we said it's only, 6 games in?
Said don't jump off a bridge. And the slow curve somehow misses. 2-1. That was Carlos Monasterios, who was up in the bullpen with John Link for the Dodgers. A.J. Ellis on deck. Ripped down the left field line. Foul. That hurt somebody's hand very badly.
Yes.
That hurt. Not an easy ball to catch with a bare hand.
That hurts.
But watch it. There's only one word, Keith, you can use in that instance. There's no other word to use.
Either bring your glove or pull your hand out of the way.
Very offended.
3-2. Right at Francoeur, and Carroll retired, 2 out. Now A.J. Ellis with 2 out and nobody on. Ellis drove in a run with a 4th inning single. Xavier Paul in the on-deck circle. Well, it's chilly in the stands, but in the stands people can kind of sit on their hands. But our camera people have had to work through 2 games today in just miserable windy conditions, and our hats are off, and their hoods are on.
They are dressed appropriately.
Off-speed pitch, grounded down to Ike Davis. Takahashi covers. 2 1/3 hitless innings for Takahashi. Boy, has he been a godsend for this team. Mets continue to roll.
So far, it took game 1 of this doubleheader behind Johan Santana, and here in game 2, pretty eventful. David Wright's 1,000th hit. Ike Davis with 3 RBIs. The Mets on top of the Dodgers. And with Ike Davis having another big game, many people wonder, where is Daniel Murphy? Well, unfortunately, he's still not 100% healthy. Talking to him, and he was telling me basically he's close, but still no cigar. And the biggest thing is turning. He's running full speed straight ahead. He's hitting in the cage. That's no problem. He's fielding, taking ground balls. But the last time he tried to take a turn on the bases, it didn't feel just right. So they had him hold off a couple days. Maybe tomorrow Murphy tries to cut those bases. And then obviously after he does that, it's a couple of rehab games. And get healthy first with Daniel Murphy and then figure out what happens when he comes back to the big club. Let's go back upstairs, guys.
And Kevin, that's certainly going to be a huge question for the Mets to answer as John Link comes on to pitch for the Dodgers. Now that Ike Davis seems to be establishing himself at first base and seems to be rather hard to move, is Daniel Murphy better off, and are the Mets better off with Daniel Murphy playing first base at AAA or sitting on the bench and being a left-handed pinch hitter in the big leagues?
Well, he was quite proficient as a pinch hitter last year. I mean, you're not going to take Ike Davis out of the lineup.
My point, or to answer that, is that it's not a hard question. It's a very, very easy question. Mr. Davis is going to be at first base, and I guess the question you're asking, should Murphy be in the major leagues?
Blanco hits one toward the middle, base hit, and Henry Blanco has his second hit of the night.
I think that Murphy has shown he's a good person off the bench, but I think right now I would send him to AAA and let him get a month of bats or 2 weeks of at bats or whatever you need to get him where he's 100%.
Because there's another piece to this too. If Ike Davis is going to be your first baseman for the long term, and unless you see Daniel Murphy being able to play another position, which I'm not sure that the Mets feel that he can, and I might be wrong about that. Takahashi up there to bunt, and he bunts it foul. I mean, about the only thing you could think of since he's tried it in the Arizona Fall League is to think about playing him at second base. Now, I'm not sure if the Mets think that that's even a possibility. But assuming it's not, you have to think of Daniel Murphy perhaps as trade bait.
Yes.
And if he is, you're probably better off getting him at bats where at least you can showcase him to other teams as opposed to having him sitting on the bench.
Well, let's just, okay, fine. This young man looks very good at first base. But you know what? When Murphy's ready to come back, it's a lot of baseball to be played.
Yeah,
up to that point.
Absolutely.
No, I said it. I said let's not get giddy but he can hit. And, you know, I don't know if he's going to hit 280, but he can hit.
It's obvious that
I can't describe it. I don't know what words to use, but I know it when I see it.
it's just hard to look at him and not think that he has a chance to really be something special.
Absolutely. But at the same time, and just, again, to play devil's advocate, I mean, Murphy can hit. I mean, we've seen it. But strike three as Takahashi is down trying to bunt. I mean, last year he finished very strong, led the team in home runs. He was becoming more proficient at first base. So he's got a value. And whether he has enough value to the Mets to compete with Ike Davis for that job over the long term, I don't know.
Gary, you know what? The Mets really like him. You know, I mean, they're still really high on him. And your point real quick about second base, he only played a couple of games in Arizona at second base because he got an injury. So, I mean, very minimal experience there at that position. So the question is, for the long-term benefit of Daniel Murphy and of the Mets organization, what happens when he gets healthy? Assuming that Ike Davis is still, you know, performing at the level he is when Murphy's ready to come back. And I think it's a really interesting question.
And Jacobs is down at first base. Yesterday he hit a home run. Well, it's nice to have riches for a change.
Yep. That's a good thing. Pagano's walked twice in this game and popped up. He scored 2 runs. And Angel takes off the plate.
This young man Link, who pitched in the first game and got into trouble immediately, was involved in the trade with the White Sox for Juan Pierre.
One of 2 players the Dodgers acquired in that deal. Link, no relation to Clarence Williams III.
Nice. He is a little mondo. I think I've seen him.
No relation to Curly Q Link, the missing link.
See, I wasn't even going to go there.
I thought you were going to go to Herr Linkmeyer.
No, Fraulein Linkmeyer, no.
I thought he was going to go to Peggy Lipton. Hit sharply toward the middle, base hit. Blanco turning second. He's trying for third. Here comes Kemp's throw. Not in time. Well, Blanco, who had a stolen base earlier on this homestand, now goes first to third on a base hit up the middle.
Well, you run the bases well, and you cut the corners sharp, and you get a good jump off the bat. You don't have to be a speed burner. Very nicely done. Henry. Nice hitting by Pagan. That might get him going. Just out of the reach. And look at Blanco. The play's in front of him. Nicely done. Love it, love it, love it.
That is a great play. 1 out. You want to get to third at all costs. And, yeah, he saw that Kemp was not coming as hard as he might have after that ball and took the chance, and he made it. That's great. There's a real spark about this team right now, isn't there?
It's great to watch.
Here's Castillo.
It's attention to detail that is just so wonderful to watch, whether it's base running, defense. You know, they're hitting when they've even struggled, but they've got a sac fly here or there to somehow knock in a run.
Pagan runs, thrown by Ellis, not in time. Pagan has a stolen base. His second of the year. And it was Blanco's base running that allowed Pagan to steal that base.
And don't forget about the first game when Bay hit the triple. Or this game when they hit the triple, that Jose was stealing early in the count. You know, that hasn't happened since he's been in the third spot. Oh, gee. Did he lose his belt too?
That is twice in one day that a Met player,
I must say,
has ruined his belt.
That's Charlie.
That's Charlie.
He's always cutting corners.
Jeez, Charlie.
Money. Go. Charlie Samuels. Jeez, Charlie. Let's go. Spend some money and get some decent belts for the players. The big leagues.
Now, come on. You've gotten a bad box of bats in the past. Charlie got a bad box of belts. That's funny. The infield comes in, 1-0 to Castillo. And he lifts one along the left field line. And Johnson over for a look, but it's out of play. Now that guy had a glove.
Fig is not going to take care of you when you need your action on the road. I'm telling you.
I think I'm going to get a text from Fig.
Castillo had a big tack-on 2-run single in the first game. Turned a 2-0 game into a 4-0 game. He's got a chance to do something similar now, with the Mets up 6-3 in the 6th. With Jose Reyes on deck.
Dirty uniforms. Love to see it.
On 3-1, Castillo watches ball 4.
Wow.
So Link walks Castillo, and on 2 hits and that free pass, the Mets have loaded the bases, and this Dodger bullpen has just been dreadful this year.
I can think of a better word.
It's so obvious when you watch it, Gary and Keith, that it just, when you have these young pitchers out there, they're so reticent to throw to contact, so reticent to throw strikes, that it just does not look good out there.
So Joe will troop out to the mound again and make another change. He'll bring in George Sherrill, who pitched in the first game, to turn Reyes around. We'll be right back. Liriano, 8 shutout innings against the Tigers. John Roush out in the 9th with Minnesota up 2-0. John Garland, 6 innings, 3 hits, 10 strikeouts for the Padres tonight.
Nice.
As they lead Florida 4-1. And the Orioles get 3 in the 6th, knocking out Phil Hughes, and they lead the Yankees 4-2 now in the bottom of the 8th at Camden Yards. George Sherrill on to pitch. With the bases loaded and 1 out, and with Reyes at the plate, it forces the Dodgers to bring the infield in, because they can't play back for the double play against Reyes' speed. And the breaking ball in at his feet for ball 1.
Well, Sherrill is also started in Seattle, went to Baltimore where he had 51 saves in a couple of years. And he also went to Austin Peay. So the battery mates are APU.
A lot of Fly Williams. Sherrill was magnificent for the Dodgers late last year, but not so much this year. Hit slowly. Carroll will have to come home, and bouncing through can't be handled by Ellis, and Blanco scores. Carroll just spiked that throw to the plate, and the Mets lead 7-3.
Well, very easy play, had plenty of time. Maybe it's the cold weather or whatever, but that play has got to be made. Another error by this Dodger team on a very simple play.
Well, the Dodgers lead the National League in errors, and Jamie Carroll's not really a shortstop, but still.
That's pitch and catch from 72 feet.
So no RBI for Reyes. It goes to fielder's choice and an error. Base is still loaded with one out. Jason Bay 1 for 3, an RBI triple back in the first, and now they back up to double play depth. And a strike on the inside edge, 0-2. That's up all speed on the bases now. John Link faced 4 batters and retired only 1. And that was the pitcher Takahashi. Mets scored 3 in the 5th to regain the lead, and they've added 1 here in the 6th. And now Pagan at third, Castillo at second, and Reyes at first. Been fun to watch those 3 run on a gapper. 0-2 to Bay. Tied him up and he struck him out. So Bay struck out for the 2nd time in this game, and now there are 2 out.
Well, Jason's going to kick himself here. Up a little cutter up and in. Good spot. Tough pitch to lay off.
Joe throws awfully hard. I don't see many lefties throw much harder.
So now David Wright, fresh off his 1,000th career hit in the last inning that drove in the go-ahead run. 2 for 2 with a walk in this game.
Why not? Have a night.
Hasn't had a grand slam since 2006. Keith, you remember your 1,000th hit?
No, I forget. But I had the ball at home. I forget who I got it off.
You got it off Steve Carlton.
I did?
That's pretty good, huh?
Okay. I'll take that.
April 17th, 1982.
Nice bunt, Keith.
Swinging bunt. Shattered my bat.
Here's something that I would not have ever expected, though. April 17th, 1982, the day you got your 1,000th hit, you started in left field.
Yes.
Gene Tennis was playing first base.
I think George Hendrick might have been hurt then, and they shoved me in. I could be wrong. I don't know why Whitey did that.
Gino Tonacci.
He didn't win any Gold Gloves. Driven deep toward the gap in right center field. That ball heads toward the wall, and that will clear the bases. Pagan and Castillo and Reyes all score. Right into third with a 3-run triple. 10-3 New York.
Well, the big old spacious outfield of City Field. And that's where David's pop is in that opposite field. That's a great sign right there. And the fact that you got a hard thrower out there.
First triple of the year for David. He's 3 for 3 tonight with 4 RBIs.
Very quick bat right there.
And I think around here I see the monkey jump off his back as he moves it to third.
No blues tonight. Ike Davis takes ball 1. Davis has driven in 3 runs tonight. Wright has driven in 4.
Boy, what a bad pen performance by the Dodgers. Jeez. Just cough it up. Giving up 5 runs, the bullpen.
4 in this inning. Davis takes the breaking ball low and away. So that's 1,001.
They should have been out of this inning.
And by the way, I was right. Yeah, it was fun watching those guys circle the bases.
It was. It was. We should have put the clock on it. We could do that later, I think.
2-1 to Ike.
No, the ILTV pitch differential, but when you're 2-0, you got to go right after a guy. They wanted it down and away. He did get it down, but even more importantly for you Met fans, what is David doing? 2 hits to right field.
The first time this season the Mets have reached double digits in runs. In their 21st game, the offense, which had been doing just enough to win, tonight doing plenty.
Is this their second time in double digits in the hits? I think they had that 12 earlier in this year against the Nationals.
Well, the Mets trying tonight for their 6th consecutive win and trying to go to 8-1 on the homestand with 1 more to play tomorrow. Quite a run.
Very nice and just what they needed.
3-2. Breaking ball misses ball 4, and Ike continues the inning by drawing the 2-out walk. And now Frank Core will be the 9th man to bat in the inning. So the Dodger bullpen imploding, not helped by the throwing error by Jamie Carroll. That produced a run, and that'll make 3 of the runs in this inning unearned, but nonetheless. Frank Core 1 for 3 in this game. 1st and 3rd and 2 out. And all these runs belong to Isanori Takahashi, who came on in long relief and for the 2nd straight time has been brilliant. He was against the Braves Friday, and he has been again tonight. Driven to center field, but Kemp has this one lined up, and that ends the inning. But the Mets tack on 4. David Wright bringing in 3 in one fell swoop. David, who used to live by taking the ball to right center, gets 3 runs out of this one with his first triple of the year, and the Mets are cruising 10-3. And Wire available in HD, presented by IOTV. And if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN with Howie and Wayne. Final game of the homestand tomorrow, and what a homestand it's been. Day game tomorrow with John Maine pitching for the Mets, and we think Josh Towers is going to be called up to pitch for the Dodgers. And then after a day off Thursday, it's down to Citizens Bank Park for the first meetings of the year with the Phillies, and who knows, Mets could be going there in first place.
Well, that would mean Mr. Towers is probably already here in the hotel watching the end of this game.
Xavier Paul up to pinch hit for the Dodgers. He was called up when Manny Ramirez went on the disabled list. 0 for 5 so far this year. Takahashi came on in the 4th inning. Carlos Montesterios up in the bullpen for the Dodgers. Takahashi walked the first man to face him, Reed Johnson, to force in a run. His second batter was James Loney, who thought he had walked to force in the go-ahead run, but he was called out on strikes, ejected from the game, and Takahashi hasn't allowed another base runner since.
And we all up here thought that pitch was down. Mr. Loney was right, and he knew it was going to be a big play in this game, and ended up being that way.
Good breaking ball by Takahashi, 2-2. Well, if he had walked, it would have been 4-3 LA. Now it's 10-3 New York.
Well, it's different, though. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You can't count on the 10 runs if they had gone ahead 4-3. Might have seen some different relief pitchers.
Maybe. 2-2 to Paul. Struck him out. That's 4 strikeouts for Takahashi. Got 20 strikeouts in 14 innings. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by PPG Pittsburgh Paint, trusted by generations of painters and homeowners for over 100 years. Nobody knows paint like PPG Pittsburgh Paints. By StubHub, it's easier than ever to buy and sell Mets tickets on StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the New York Mets. And by Bigelow Tea, Joe Torre and Wayne Gretzky's green tea of choice. Joe might need a whole lot of green tea to warm up tonight.
But he'll never sleep.
Well, you can get the decaffeinated green tea.
This game will still keep him up all night, I'm sure.
I like the caffeine.
Reed Johnson had that bases loaded walk against Takahashi in the 4th inning.
You know, I'm trying to watch Takahashi pitch and trying to gauge where they're having their difficulties with him. One, he has 3 excellent pitches that he throws for strikes, but it's that little delay in his motion that is really upsetting the timing of the hitters. It's delay, and then he goes.
Especially with these Dodgers seeing him for the first time.
And he throws all of his pitches out of the same arm slot, and he can throw all 3 from there.
Takahashi's retired 8 in a row. Ahead on Johnson, 1-2. Now the breaking ball hits to left for a base hit. Bay chases it and cuts it off deep. Johnson heads for second and in safely with an awkward slide for a 1-out double. He got caught in between sliding and standing up. Well, Isunori Takahashi had a very successful career in Japan. Very prominent pitcher for the 3-time Japan Series participating Yomiuri Giants. 79 wins in his 11 years in Japan, but wanted a new challenge. Came to this country at age 35. Has been a very important contributor early in this season. There's Casey Blake up for the first time. He came in the game when Loney was ejected and takes a strike. Blake played the first game at third base and went 0 for 3. Andre Ethier waiting on deck. The double for Reed Johnson, just the 4th hit in this game for LA. They had just 5 hits in the first game. It's been a long day for Mr. Mack. Singing and dancing. One and 2 to Blake. Tampa Bay won again tonight. Beat Oakland 8-6. That's 15-5 for the Rays. Best record in baseball.
Who's got the cowbell?
Cowbell Man. You know Cowbell Man.
When I take the train home, I know Cowbell Man. I'll tell you that.
Well, I like it. You can identify him easily because he's got the jersey that says Cowbell Man on the back.
I got the ringing in my ears from these headphones and the 72 cups of coffee that I've had during the game.
So who's not going to sleep tonight?
I can honestly sleep on coffee. It doesn't do that to me.
3-2 to Casey Blake. Struck him out. 5 strikeouts for Takahashi.
Fastballs. There he is.
There's Cowbell Man. He was a ubiquitous figure at Shea and has brought his act to Citi Field with no interruption.
Well placed, Keith. That fastball is very straight, but he knows how to place it down and away on Blake. You really have to thank, or at least acknowledge our scouting department in the Pacific Rim for recommending Igarashi, of course, and Takahashi, who have been fantastic.
There's Andre Ethier. Well, the Mets have brought in more Japanese players than any team in the last decade or so. And they have never gotten a Japanese player who has outperformed expectations. And so far, they have to be thrilled with what they've gotten from Igarashi and now from Takahashi. 1-1 to Ethier.
Seo Ojimi and his staff.
Matt Kemp would be next. Takahashi had 7 strikeouts in 3 innings against the Braves, 5 strikeouts in 3 innings tonight. Another swing and miss. He has as many swings and misses as anybody on this staff. And he throws 87 miles an hour.
Yep. Doesn't matter how hard you're throwing. He knows how to pitch.
Very rarely throws the same pitch twice in a row.
Spotting his fastball, getting strikeouts with his fastball. How can you just change up that much?
How about this concept? No fear.
1-2 to Ethier. Grounded to the right side. Castillo closing ground, but can't make the play. And that'll bring home Reed Johnson to cut the lead to 10-4. They'll give Ethier credit for a base hit. Drives in his 17th run of the year. So the first run off Takahashi tonight.
Fastball, wanted to get it away, got it down and in. Nice hitting by Mr. Ethier. Just Louis couldn't get to it.
This doesn't have quite the range that he used to.
No, we remember Louis in his prime.
Back pocket
when the Marlins was a Florida Marlin.
And it was a little surprising to see that Louis was in the lineup for Game 2 tonight.
It was, and then I was thinking to myself, okay, he's in the lineup, maybe because he's had some penchant for hitting knuckleballers. But I was telling you guys right before the inning, I was surprised that Alex didn't come in late here to play second base to give Louis a couple innings off, and maybe he could start tomorrow.
I think probably the plan is to start Core tomorrow.
Yeah.
Of course, the Mets, they had yesterday off. They had a short game Sunday. They've got Thursday off. So
I think when they're hot right now here at home, you got to push the envelope, get yourself feeling so good about yourself as you have that day off before you go to Philadelphia.
By the way, before the rainout last night, Jerry was talking about maybe giving David Wright the day off tomorrow. I don't think he's getting that now. Not after the 97 tonight. David getting hot in this game with 3 for 3, 4 RBIs, 1,000th hit along the way. 2-1 to Kemp, and the changeup away, 3-1.
Takahashi getting just a little tired. You can see that ball coming up in the strike zone. Understandably,
he's got to throw strike here. A big lead.
Well, he's already thrown 71 pitches in relief now. That's a ton. By far the most that he's thrown in the game this year.
Let's really hope you keep it on the outer part. Little fly ball to center field.
Got it in on him, and it's 3-2.
That's what I was talking about, no fear. 3-1. Blanco calls for a fastball in, doesn't shake off. These pitchers seem to have such a confidence in what these catchers call. And how many times have I said it? It's better to be 100% behind the wrong pitch than 50% behind your pitch. Conviction always works.
Ethier gets set to run. 3-2 on the way to Kemp. Foul away.
Here's a fastball. Hit it.
Henry Mejia will be the next man out of the Mets bullpen. Mets are hoping that'll be in the 8th.
Yep. Maybe get 2 out of Henry.
Yeah, he needs to see some more action.
Yep.
I think.
Get 2 nice, easy innings for him, hopefully.
Davis playing behind Ethier, gets set to run. Blanco sitting up inside again and fouled back.
I have not seen a Dodger club in such disarray in a while.
Been saying that about a lot of clubs on this homestand.
Yep. Really thought that this would be a tough homestand for the Mets, and give them credit, they played great. But Atlanta looked awful. They played terrible in the field.
3-2. Driven to left. Bay is right there waiting. And the side retired. 3 1/3 out of the bullpen for Isanori Takahashi. 5 strikeouts along the way. 10-4 New York. Series against the Dodgers here at Citi Field. Mets-Dodgers coverage begins with Subway pregame tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. only on SNY. There are your probables for tomorrow. Josh Towers likely to come home from AAA to make the start tomorrow. Veteran right-hander against John Maine, who, like Towers, began his career in the Baltimore organization. If the Mets win today, Xavier Paul takes over in right field, and Carlos Monasterios will come on to pitch. If the Mets win this game, tomorrow they'll have a chance to do something they've done only twice in their history, and that is put together a 9-1 homestand. They did it in 1969 in August, and they did it, well, you guys did it, 1988, September of that year, a 9-1 homestand. Henry Blanco fouls one off. So the Mets are getting into some rather lofty territory with what they've done since they've come home. If you look at Monasterios' numbers. Monasterios was actually taken in the Rule 5 draft by the Mets from the Phillies and then traded to the Dodgers this past winter. So he is a Rule 5 guy. The Dodgers have to keep him all year or offer him back to Philadelphia. One and two to Blanco as a single and a double. And there's the birthday boy finally getting himself a chance to play tonight. Frank Catalanato, who has waited 6.5 hours for the opportunity to swing the bat on his 36th birthday.
Oh, 36 candles.
And that's one of those baseball birthdays you don't want to be reminded of.
I don't know. I'd love to be 36 again. I'm nearing a kind of a milestone myself, and it's not 36, I'll tell you that.
It's only 36 plus 14.
That's right.
All right. You'll be joining the club.
That's right. That's right.
2-2 to Blanco. Henry hanging in there. That's put up 3 in the 5th and 4 in the 6th to break this game open. 24-year-old Carlos Monasterios, a native of Venezuela, had never pitched above single A other than 2 games last year at Double A Reading before this season. So that's how inexperienced he is.
I don't know if you guys feel this way, but the best way to be able to judge a player is to see him every day. Henry Blanco's a better player than I thought he was. I didn't know that he had the skills that he does. Now, he's not going to hit 300 for you.
Gets away from Ellis, retrieves and makes the throw, and Blanco's out. So it's a strikeout, 2-3 on the putout for the first out of the inning. Well, I think we've seen a lot from Blanco. I don't think I ever expected to see what we saw after his base hit in the 6th to go first to third on a single to center.
He has that stolen base, of course. He got every 9 years he gets one. But no, you can tell he knows how to run the bases. He knows how to run a game behind the plate.
So here's Frank Catalanato. And he fouls off the first pitch. So Frank looking for the birthday base hit. One and one to Frank. It's been a rough go for Catalanato, just 2 for 16, mostly as a pinch hitter. And the curveball fouled off. 1-2.
Frank could use a knock. It's been a tough go of it early here in the season. Not getting a lot of at bats. I don't know how those pinch hitters do it, by the way. It's such a tough job. But he could use a knock.
1-2. It's a short. Carroll gets in front of it. 2 out. Well, I've been watching the scoreboard all night, Ronnie, and thinking that there might be a huge development tonight in Milwaukee.
Yes.
But Prince Fielder just homered in the bottom of the 8th. Same old. Brewers now lead the Pirates 3-2.
They can't. Pirates can't beat the Brewers.
22 straight times at Miller Park, the Pirates have lost to the Brewers. 22.
That's impossible. I guess it isn't, but you think at some point someone throw a shutout for you.
Well, they already lost a game to Milwaukee 20-0 in Pittsburgh. And then the Brewers beat them in Milwaukee last night 17-3.
I said it before the game. They've been outscored before tonight's game. Milwaukee had outscored Pittsburgh in 4 games 53-4.
Well, they're keeping it close tonight. I mean, that's just awful. Last night, John Russell closed the clubhouse door for a half an hour after the game to discuss matters. Pittsburgh's lost 7 in a row now overall. It's been since 1992 since the Pirates have had a winning season, and they've changed managers and general managers umpteen times, and it just doesn't seem to change.
That's a shame, because that young guy they got in center field, Andrew McCutcheon, is a real good player.
3-1 to Pagan. And Angel hits one to center field. Playable for Kemp. And that retires the side. So the Mets are on 1-2-3 against Carlos Monasterios. Henry Mejia for the 8th, with the Mets up 10-4. premium location ticket to a Subway Series game at Citi Field, plus one game each in June, July, August, and September. Get your summer premium pick-a-pack now at Mets.com. It's been 5 days since Henry Mejia went to the mound.
That's good for Henry. He had a lot of work. He's going to work 2 tonight. He's going to get a nice little mop-up effort here.
I was talking in the little cafeteria here room run by our favorite Maureen before the game today, and I was talking about Henry Mejia and thinking that, boy, you know, you need to get him a little more work. You know, to have him sit down there and not working on his craft is not a good thing. Got to get him some work, and this is a perfect game for it.
That's with a 6-run lead as we start the 8th. Ronnie Belliard leads off for the Dodgers and takes the fastball down for ball 1. Belliard 0 for 3, drove in a run with a fielder's choice in the 4th inning. Mets were up 3-0. Dodgers tied it with 3 in the 4th off Oliver Perez. But Takahashi came out of the bullpen to settle things down, and the Mets went to hitting 3 in the 5th, 4 in the 6th, as they're looking to sweep a doubleheader from the Dodgers for the first time in 39 years. 2-1 to Belliard, with Blake DeWitt on deck, and then Jamie Carroll in the 8th. That's won the opener today behind Johan Santana 4-0. Santana pitched 6 scoreless despite having to work around a lot of trouble. And Jerry Manuel's team is on a roll. 3-2 to Belliard.
Interesting to see the young Mejia out there in this kind of weather, no sleeves.
And he walks the first man to face him, which is what he did in his last outing. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Levon has been spectacular early in the season, almost Pelfrey-like. Here's Blake DeWitt having to move his feet. Ball 1. The Marlins have lost, beaten by the Padres 4-1. So if the Mets win this game, they will slip past the Marlins in the standings.
You know, I was looking at some of the stats today, and when the Cubs were in, we were saying how Giovanni Soto had struggled the year after he won Rookie of the Year. Well, Mr. Coughlin, Chris Coughlin of the Marlins, is really struggling. He's around the $1.50 mark right now.
DeWitt is 0 for 3 and takes a fastball for a strike. But on the other hand, Josh Johnson, who was struggling through his first couple of starts, he found the reins last night.
He's right at the ship.
3-hit complete game, 12 strikeouts, 3 hits, 3 RBIs.
And that game in San Francisco is underway. Phillies didn't score in the first. That's Todd Wellemeyer with the Giants. He's 0-3. He's been getting hammered. And Jamie Moyer, how about Jamie? He's come in and with the injuries they've had, the Hap, he's 2-1 starting. Moyer, the ageless Jamie Moyer.
Yeah. They've got Romero back now, haven't they?
Yes, Romero is back. Well, it's still no Brad Lidge, and playing without Jimmy Rollins, and they've had their problems.
Yeah.
You know, Hap going down, they haven't had to replace him yet. Figueroa had his start skipped. And the Mets will not see Nelson this weekend. I mean, they'll see him, but he won't pitch against them. 2-2 to DeWitt. Off the fist down to first. Davis gets the shore play for the first out as Belliard moves to second.
Well, you'd like to see Ike get the lead runner there. He had him easily. But, you know, you're young, playing at 6-run lead. He's got him easy. Look at, just make the throw second base. He's out. He never even entered his mind. I know you got a big lead. Get the lead runner.
I think maybe he felt the runner might be in his path of the throw.
Well, you got to learn to make that throw bend around him. He can do it. He's very, very. He's excellent over at first base. There's no reason why you couldn't get that lead run there. Lead runner. Not being overly critical.
I think sometimes what happens, Keith, is you're like Chopin trying to talk about a first-year piano student.
Well, pitchers always like getting those lead runners. Even, the games like this, they love their ERAs. They're always very grateful when you keep that runner out of scoring position.
Absolutement.
Love when you speak French. 1-1 to Jamie Carroll, who's 0 for 2 and a walk in this game. And overmatched with that fastball, 1-2.
Good slider. Very nice.
That is just
93-mile-an-hour slider.
It's how the fastball comes out. It's like a cutter slider.
Yep.
But it's 93. Just a natural way for him to throw.
1-2. Back to Mejia. Looks the runner. 2 out.
Oh, he does everything right here, folks. Ball comes back at him, makes a nice play. What do you do first? Look the runner back, and then proceed with a little throw to first base. Now, is that an easy play? Of course it is. But how many of you guys have been out there 20 years old trying to get big league hitters out? Not a lot of them.
Sometimes pitchers can panic on that routine play. They just get flustered.
A.J. Ellis takes a strike. Ellis 1 for 3, drove in a run with a 4th-inning single. Dodgers got 3 in the 4th to tie up the game. But the Mets with 7 runs in the 5th and 6th innings to regain the lead. And a letter-high strike, 0-2.
Let's see if he throws that big curveball of his.
A lot of crooked numbers up there for the Mets. Bunched them in 3 innings.
And there's the curveball, and David Wright comes in to play the hop. Throws out Ellis, side retired. Scoreless inning for Mejia, 10-4 New York. Seventh inning stays on for the bottom of the 8th for LA. Raul Valdez getting up in the Mets bullpen, so he might pitch tonight after Mejia worked a hitless 8th inning. Castillo, Reyes, and Bay up for the Mets, who have 10 runs tonight, the most they've had in a game this season. Vying for their 6th consecutive win. The Mets had a 7-game winning streak last year in the first and second weeks in May. That was, I guess you'd say that was the high point last season.
I think what the Mets, despite this game with the 10 runs and great offense, I think what the Mets can take from this homestand as they proceed to Philadelphia on Friday after tomorrow's game is that they've seen a lot of the teams in the National League, and they have to feel as though they're not at the top of their game yet, and they're still able to pull out victories, which is very encouraging. And it's got to tell them that, hey, guys, if we buckle down, nose to the grindstone kind of stuff, we're going to be one of the teams that has a shot.
No reason why not.
Well, a much-needed, tremendous homestand. This was a club that was in trouble and needed it, and they've just really responded. And a lot of people, everybody's contributed.
2-2 to Castillo. Foul back.
So you guys were mentioning you guys took some phone calls in Colorado, and there was Panic City.
Well, there was some upset in the land, but they were playing poorly at the time.
It's natural. Well, I'm not blaming them. It's a natural thing.
The old adage that no team looks as good as it does when it's hot, or no team looks as bad as it does when they're playing terrible.
Well, Castillo's walked each of his last 2 at bats, and he's worked it to 3-2.
Yeah, it's the chicken and egg thing, right? Are you playing great, or is the other team playing bad, or are they playing bad because you're playing well?
All those things.
Yep.
Up the middle, and Castillo's got himself a base hit. So Louis, who had a big hit in the first game, has been on base 3 straight times here in the second game. Well, tonight after the post game and at 1 a.m., catch the only New York sports news and highlights show in town. Of course, complete coverage of today's doubleheader. The Jets have been very active in the offseason and perhaps ready to make another signing. And what about D'Angelo Hall and his comments? If the Giants have to respond to that. All coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night after the game and at 1 a.m.
What did Mr. Hall say?
He just said the Redskins are going to dominate.
Oh.
And I don't know, I don't know if the Giants themselves are trash talking. I know Greg Picker is trash talking. Right on the back to Carroll, 6-6-3 double play, and 2 out of the 8. Greg Picker, our esteemed producer, our #1 Giants fan around here, which we don't begrudge him at all.
You guys should make a bet, you and he, this year. Right?
Which team sells out the new stadium first?
No, that would be a no. I think you should go for who goes the furthest. That's all.
Here's Jason Bay. Well, I know who went the furthest last year. The Jets just haven't taken that next step for the last 40 years. And the Giants have. So, Rex and Mike Tannenbaum, they're getting it all together. Should be ready to progress to a Super Bowl one of these years. 0-2 to Bay. Struck him out. Third time Bay struck out in this game. Good 2 innings for Monasterios. Now the Mets are 3 outs away from a doubleheader sweep. 10-4 going to the 9th. HD free with IOTV. By Delta, New York's most global airline, is a proud sponsor of the New York Mets. By Ford, check out the best-selling vehicles in America. Drive one at your Tri-State Ford dealer today. By Parts Authority, the future of auto parts. By Chili's, go to www.chilisbaseball.com for free chips and queso and enter to win a VIP baseball trip to see how the pros prepare. Brought to you by Chili's. It's all in the preparation. And by Capital One. What's in your wallet? Mets are trying to put 6 straight wins in their wallet as Raul Valdez comes in to try and finish things up. Xavier Paul up for the second time, takes a strike.
Well, Valdez has been unscored upon in 6 of his 7 appearances so far this season.
His last appearance was on Sunday night. He threw 1 pitch right before the game was called in the 6th inning.
Cost Pelfrey a complete game.
Yep. If he hadn't thrown that pitch, Mike would have had a complete game. Two and 1 to Paul with Reed Johnson and Casey Blake to follow here in the 9th. We mentioned it earlier. The Mets and Dodgers playing a doubleheader for the 21st time. The Mets only have 1 prior sweep, and that was in 1971, August the 28th of 71 at Shea. The only time the Mets have ever swept a doubleheader from the Dodgers. The Dodgers have 8 sweeps against the Mets.
Did you say 71?
71.
But like, who would be the pitchers in 71?
Seaver, Kuzman.
All the same guys. Big guys.
Those are the good years.
Yeah, the big guys. Okay.
3-2. Lifted to left center. And Pagan over with Bay. And it drops. Bad communication, and Paul pulls into second base. Well, it's got to be the center fielder's ball, but they both shied away.
You're right, Garrett. It's got to be the center fielder's ball. And he's the general. Nope, not. Well, I got it. You take it.
Well, the one thing you can say about this is that at least this year, when the rains come, the 1-0 game is gone in the Mets' favor. When they make a mistake there in the field, then that's going to help them communicate better the next time in 10-4 games.
Right. Not a tie game. Right.
Like against the Dodgers and Dodger Stadium last year.
Right. Exactly. That was the low point in many ways last year. The game, Ryan Church missed third base, and Pagan and Beltran had trouble communicating on a fly ball.
Mets made 4 errors in the game.
Jeremy Reed made the throw home to end the game, playing first base. I think it was the last time Jeremy played first base.
You and I were awful that night. I know we were.
Reed Johnson had to double his last time up and scored a run. Hits it hard toward the home base hit. Paul goes to third. He'll pull in there. So 2 hits to start the 9th inning for L.A. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Cohen and Bobby Ojeda on what's coming up on Lincoln Mercury postgame live. All right, guys, we'll look forward to that. Casey Blake will bat.
You understood that?
Manny Acosta up in the bullpen. Why? You couldn't understand it? Sounds like the guy on a great show. Blake up for the second time. Struck out in the 7th. Came on when James Loney was ejected, arguing a called third strike in the 4th. First 2 aboard for L.A. here in the 9th. And Valdez misses with the fastball, 1-1. Well, something special is happening at Miller Park. The Pirates scored 5 in the 9th.
Uh-oh.
They lead 7-3 over Milwaukee going to the bottom of the 9th. Their long nightmare could be over. In the air to left field. That should get a run in. As Bay comes in and grabs it. Paul tags. He'll score without a throw. Sacrifice fly for Blake. Makes it 10-5. More importantly, 1 out of the 9th.
So I'm guessing they must have got those runs off Trevor Hoffman, who was going for say 595. Is that right or wrong? Who knows?
I would assume so.
Yeah, right?
Who's counting?
Now Russell Martin will come up to pinch hit. Martin, who started the first game behind the plate, went 1 for 2 with a couple of walks. So with Johnson at first and 1 out, Valdez goes to work and misses high to Martin, 1-0. And a fastball strike, 1-1. It was indeed 5 runs off Trevor Hoffman in the ninth, after Randy Wolf went the first 8 for the Brewers. Hit to short, might be a double play. Reyes to Castillo, and on to first. Not handled as it snuck by Ike Davis, and Martin safe at first. So the Mets that close to finishing it off, but not a good throw by Castillo.
We'll take a look here. Taylor made perfect feed. I think Ike might have got. Let me tell you, it's a tough angle right there. Let's see. Here's a little better angle at the throw. Trying on. His footwork was. Oh, it got under his glove. He just didn't get down enough. He was there to make the play.
So 2 out. Martin at first. Matt Kemp the batter. Dodgers down to their final out. And the curveball misses for ball 1. Ryan Doman hit a grand slam in that ninth inning for the Pirates to put them in front. And Kemp takes the curve for a strike, 1-1. Kemp is 1 for 4 in this game, 1 for 8 in the doubleheader. Raul Valdez trying to put on the finishing touches. Ronnie Belliard hoping for a turn on deck. 2-1 to Kemp. Isanori Takahashi is pitcher of record on the long side. Came on in relief in the 4th inning. Allowed a run on 2 hits and struck out 5 over 3 1/3. Henry Mejia a hitless 8th, and now Valdez trying to close it out. And now the Dodgers are down to their final strike. The last time the Mets swept a doubleheader from anybody, June 29th of 2007 in Philadelphia. Ball 3, and taking the second base is Martin as that ball pops away from Blanco.
Would that be a PB there?
They say wild pitch.
Yep.
I don't know about that. To Matt Kemp. Bounce to third, right in front of it. And the throw to first in time. And the Mets, for the first time since 1971, have swept a doubleheader from the Dodgers. They've won their 6th in a row, 8-1 on the homestand, as the Mets put up a season-high 10 runs in their second game victory.
Well, that was great offense. I want to talk about one thing in the pitching. That was Takahashi in his last 2 appearances, 6 1/3, 12 strikeouts.
And I think it's important to note David Wright could have broke out of his slump tonight. He had a big night. David going 3 for 3 with 4 ribeye steaks, and also Ike Davis with 3 RBIs, a 2-run double, and a sacrifice fly.
And right along the way with his 1,000th career hit, Jason Bay broke his schneid in the first game of the doubleheader with a home run, had an RBI triple in this game as the Mets sweep 2 from the Dodgers, and they'll go for the sweep of the series tomorrow afternoon and try to match their best homestand ever if they can win tomorrow. They're now 8-1 on this 10-game homestand. Mets win the nightcap 10-5. Back with more from Citi Field in just a moment.